So FTFE. Well, everybody here on the panel, quickly. Even you, Luca.
He's gone. He's gone.
This 45 degree that you at the sun, is he gone? Okay.
Yeah, he's gone.
Would that be a hypotenuse of a right angle triangle?
Absolutely.
The 45, yeah.
45, yeah.
The elevator.
We're living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Cece, Chris from West... wait, sorry, wrong channel. Hey, I'm FTFE, welcome back to the channel that does to stupidity what me and Darryl are about to do to two clowns that think the Earth is flat. I'm over on Modern Day Debate, debating Flatzoid and some guy called Alan that thinks the Earth is flat and is also a moon landing denier. So let's get over there and have fun. Please... feel free to support the channel with super chats or sharing the stream. I will come back after and read all super chats and have some fun with you guys. I know it's a nice early one, and later, well, yeah, it's still early for me, but later at 9 o'clock I will also be debating a moon landing denier who I also debated the other day about the Earth being flat. So let's go over there and have some fun.
Maybe tired of him. I don't know. Well, he, because he was a lot of his stuff. A little bit nervous about Marcus. Let me just double check that he's still coming. Marcus.
How you doing, Keith?
Good, good, and yourself?
Not bad, mate. But weird to do this so early, but you know.
Yeah, I'm also not used to it. I was expecting 5 a.m. this morning.
Yeah, it's light here. Everyone's confused.
I got it worked out. I'll be able to share on my column, by the way.
Hello to everyone joining. Yeah, Modern Day Debates are just getting started over on their side. I'm still waiting for someone to turn up. Marcus Allen. If not, I guess it's me and Darryl versus Flatzoid. He'll take 2-on-1. Who knows if he's used to that? That's a joke, just in case anyone is triggered. Thank you very much for being here, guys. I really do appreciate it. Hello, Rachel.
My kids
nice
are
to
running
see you there
around,
in the chat.
so I'm going to try
Dihydrogen
every time I
monoxide, Al
talk.
Tucker, of course, the amazing Rach bot. Max from Matters Now. Hello. Al Tucker, Pel Kesser, small cute puppy.
We might as well do sound test while we're waiting on Marcus. So let's see. We'll go from the top of the list that I have here. Darryl, if you can give me a quick 1, 2. Excellent. And then fight the flat Earth, please.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Tremendous. And then Flatzoid.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Pizza and pie.
Okay. Perfect. Everybody's like very well matched in terms of volume. That's great. let me just okay, Marcus just emailed me.
So how's that tattoo on your back doing? Last time I checked, you got that big tattoo of Subway or something.
It is so good. I was just thinking about it yesterday. So basically, I'm a huge Subway fan. Nobody likes Subway more than me. Tremendous Subway. Although the funny thing is, oh man, it's pricey.
Yeah, it's foot long
have...
is way more than it used to be.
Yeah, I don't have an infinite amount of Subway. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I'm grateful. It was a lot of gift cards, but it is, even with all those gift cards, I'm like, it's like $15 a sub. I'm like, $15 for a sandwich, and I get that it's foot long. It's a big sandwich.
Yeah,
but it's still like, it's a lot of money. And then if you get a bowl too, it's like, this is $15. Like,
if
I went out to like a sit down, like a nice little Mexican sit down restaurant last night, and it was like 15, maybe $17 tops, but you could pay 17 for a Subway pretty easily for a foot long.
Like, if I take my family to Subway, it costs the same as pretty much going to a much nicer restaurant,
Okay. Yeah.
You got 100%. To luck have a Subway, yeah.
Huh? You say I've gotten into a habit of liking it?
No, we never get Subway in South Africa, so we don't have.
No kidding, really?
They just make their own sandwiches over there.
Mark is glad to see you. Let me see here. It might be. Let me check here, Marcus. There it is. I think Marcus is.
Well, they're running a little bit behind over that side, guys. So we'll be getting going soon. Don't you worry.
No, it's right.
Hang around, have fun in the chat while we're sorting this out.
Excellent. I hear you.
If you're watching on the replay,
yeah, I can hear you. I just haven't said a word at that point. Hi, guys. Nice to see you all.
Greetings, Marcus. We've never spoken.
No, we haven't. But we have now.
Yes, we have now. That's very, very true. Nice to meet you.
So things are going to get more interesting from here on. Hello, Flats.
Good to see you, Marcus. I'm so happy to team up with you, man. It's gonna be awesome.
Well, yes. Possibly. I don't know. I've got some things to say.
Mm-hmm.
Good start.
Juicy. Let's see, Darryl, not a big deal. I can rearrange it in OBS, but are you able to use your one login?
Oh, I forgot to remove my pad. Sorry about that.
No problem. And all right, cool.
There we
go. Let's see. I'm just gonna adjust the positions here, and it'll be ready to go. So it'll be a fun time. I hope you guys. Let's see.
Yeah, what format we running?
Have any? Huh?
What format we running, James?
Let's do, and this is flexible, so we can change this if you guys want. 12 minutes per team. In other words, about 6 minutes per person for the opening. If you guys want a little bit longer, like that's okay. So if you're like, well, I kind of prepared like for 8 minutes, we can do as long as like 15 minutes per team. It's not a big deal. And then, yeah, pretty quick after that, we'll go into the open dialogue. And by that, I mean immediately after the opening. And then we'll go into the Q&A. And especially if anybody has a time commitment, let me know. I'm happy to honor that. I don't want to keep you guys here
as long as I'm not still streaming in 4 hours time, I'm okay, because I've got another stream then.
You got it.
Yeah,
that sounds good to me as well.
I'll just go off the show at 9, but I can move it on. It doesn't matter.
You got it. I'm going to just put one last little OBS picture in here, and then we'll be ready to go. And cool. There it is. We'll do a quick, Marcus, can you do a quick 1, 2, 3 for me? I want to do a sound test really quick.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Mary had a little lamb. She also had a UFO. Everywhere that Mary went, she got abducted.
Perfect.
That's my sound check.
Excellent. Right where we need you. I'm kind of wondering if OBS is getting to the point where it like balances everyone out on its own, because it's just really good.
But thinking we should actually do a moon landing thing because that is Marcus's forte. So we should look at doing that sometime. I know Marcus is looking excited for that. So
yeah, definitely do that.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely.
I've got a full, 100% nail
Moon
coffin
landing.
proof of it. So
Moon rock here. Moon rock. Hi guys. Moon rock. I have my own.
I'm totally open to that. I am totally open to a moon landing debate. That could be fun. That sounds cool.
Yeah, let's get it arranged.
It always is. Moon landing debates always end in exciting discoveries.
Exactly.
That's epic.
What moon landing, I hear you say? There never was one. It's all a fabrication.
Take that, Craig. How do you like them apples?
Well, I can save it for the discussion. My evidence is pretty convincing.
Sorry, what are you convincing about?
Well, if we want to do a moon landing debate, we can discuss my evidence that it happened then. I've got pretty convincing evidence.
Well, that it happened or it didn't happen?
That it definitely did happen, yeah.
Oh, well, I can definitely counter anything you say about that.
We'll see.
Let me just one last thing. I think the stream might have gone to a different channel. There, okay. It
just went live on your OnlyFans, James.
Who would like to go first? Which team?
Darryl, I'm happy if they go first. Do you?
Yeah, I'm fine if they go first.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Cool. And then Flatzoid.
Marcus, you want to start it off because out of respect, you're the oldest. So.
Well, yeah. You see, this is the problem because I don't actually believe the Earth is flat. So we might have...
That's the problem. So I was saying, I thought of moon landings, but
let me get this straight. You two are not flat earthers. You don't think the Earth is flat?
Flatzoid is.
That Marcus isn't a flat earther. He understands landing has never happened.
Okay.
Yeah, because the original plan was supposed to be moon landing wouldn't happen, and then it was changed to flat Earth globe.
Oh, so flat. I'm sorry, I screwed this up. Do I understand right, Marcus? You're a globe earther.
Basically, yes.
I'm a moron. I just didn't know that. I did a poor job of communicating. I thought you were a flat.
You can debate all three of them if you want. It can make exciting things.
I mean, the audience doesn't like that. Let's see. It's always, everybody wants that because they're like, yes, it'll look good for me to debate 2 or 3 people at a time. But let me think about. There's no chance you guys would be. I mean, just because I've screwed up, it's my fault. Is there any chance you guys would be open to a moon landing debate?
Let me see if I've got old presentations still. If I do, then I don't mind.
I'm versed on moon landing stuff, so.
Well, I'd be interested to hear what Flatzoid's perspective is on the flat Earth, because I have a particular viewpoint about it as well, but I don't think we're going to agree on very much.
If Fight the Flat Earth says he has a lot of good evidence, I mean, I don't mind sitting along and adding stuff where I can.
It's
well,
we can for you
landing is fine. It doesn't matter with me.
One at a time.
I can keep my flat Earth one for another time. It doesn't matter. Because I do have my old moon landing presentation here as well, so I can go through that. It's fine.
I just feel like it's not fair to Darryl because he's obviously presented something that was appropriate to this. I mean, I'm good for it.
I made a presentation specifically for this, but like I said, Marcus isn't ready.
What about if me and Flatzoid talk about flat Earth and FTFE and Marcus talk about moon landing?
I mean, that could be a bit confusing having 2 debates at once.
That's a really good idea. The only thing is I'm like, 2 topics in a single debate.
I think they're better for separate things. It could get very disjointed for people watching.
Yeah, I think it's not going to be too convoluted, actually.
Is it possible that we could let's say theoretically, like next Saturday or the following Saturday, whatever works for your guys' schedule, we do flat versus globe. And then today, if we did, and we'll, in that case, we'll of course adjust teams and stuff. And then today we instead do moon landing. That way, I know that, I'm sorry, Darryl. If you have any off the cuff critiques of, you can of course give those, but save your presentation. We can still use it for a future week. But I'm sorry I screwed this up. Are you guys okay with that just for today?
I'm happy with that.
As long as Darryl is, I'm good. I can quickly switch up.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh God.
I'm cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we're doing moon landing.
Yep. And then what I will do is we'll go on screen in a minute. By that I mean about 30 seconds. It sounds like Flatzoid and Marcus, you'll be going first if that works for you guys. Do you have a preference on Flatzoid being the first person that goes? There's a little bit of feedback, and I don't know where it might be from me. So let me see if it's my mic. It might be just me. I think it is for me. So I'm going to go on screen. I'll kick it over to you, Flatzoid, and then during your guys' openings, for transferring it to your partner, namely the second person on the same team for the same opening, you guys can feel free to do that on your own. Like, I won't jump in for that. I'll just jump in to switch it to the opposing team. So thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for your flexibility and patience with my error on that. And I promise I'll make it up to you. We'll get you in for a new one. But we're going to switch it over in 3, 2, 1. Ready, set. Here we go. Hey, everybody. Today we're debating whether or not the moon landing was a hoax. And we are starting right now with Flatzoid and Marcus Allen. Thanks for being with us. Flatzoid, the floor is all yours for your opening.
Hey, guys. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Thank you for this debate. I did prepare for something else, but more than happy to move over to the moon landings. I just want to quickly get my presentation up if I can find where it is. I had it up. Okay. Sharing screen, but I really appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate Marcus for being my partner as well. I look up to him tremendously when it comes to the moon landing things. So thank you, Marcus, for this. And everybody, I hope you enjoy this. This is an old presentation, so let's get through it. We have about 6 minutes each. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So why the moon landings never happened? Well, the arguments I have against the moon landings are simple. According to the second law of thermodynamics, if the Earth is considered an open system, the air on Earth would seek the available space presented to him. So if they were able to go to the moon, they would have to violate the second law of thermodynamics and therefore claim that they are able to demonstrate that gravity that's not a force or seen as a force for 110 years would be able to hold gas down indefinitely and thus overcome entropic law. Okay, so if Earth was considered a closed system, the air wouldn't be able to leave and there we can breathe, but then also the astronauts would not be able to leave Earth to go to the moon. So now I've got an argument for why I say astronauts are lying. If you look at Donald Petit, he claims to have seen the stars and nebula and so forth with space because we have a lot of differences in what the astronauts claim to see while they are in space. Mike Missimano says he also claims that Donald Petit has seen the stars, nebula, and so forth from space. Neil Armstrong claims it's pitch black and you see no stars, which is odd. Then you have Buzz Aldrin. He claims space is a deep black, but with a velvet sheen to it. Chris Hadfield, he's the one that says space smells like steak, burnt steak or something. He says he also claims space is a deep black with a velvet sheen to it. Michael Collins is actually an interesting one because he can't remember seeing any stars. I would imagine if you're going to a place that you're excited to go for, you're going to remember if you see stars or not. And he later stated that he did see stars in a book after, but it's weird because it's doublespeak. So why would they all contradict one another's observation if they really did go where they claim to go? Stars or not? No stars. Which one is it? Secondly, the Van Allen radiation belts would give major problems to the film used in the Hasselblad cameras. The Apollo detectors, woohoo, you guys rock, tested film with radiation and found it to fog the film with a green tint to it. Do we see these aberrations happening to the film based on the Apollo missions? No, we don't. Also, the film, when it's exposed to radiation, it usually messes it up, and that's why you usually have X-ray bags to protect it. So, how did they get professional perfect shots, which would be difficult even for normal amateur photographers today without that bulky spacesuit? How did they get it right with not even being able to move their fingers correctly? Also tested in a vacuum, it found changes in contrast and color balance, which would make sense because in a vacuum, liquids tend to gas out, and therefore you get these effects, as you can see. And then also you get they refuse to swear on the Bible, and then also you have to accept this guy Gary Fong is a very well accepted professional Hasselblad photographer. He says it would be impossible to work.
It's a bunch of flat.
How would you change the film in a dust environment? And if anybody has worked with a film camera, you would understand that you have to keep it as uncontaminated as possible with light or debris. So as soon as they're opening, remember the astronauts even have their suits so fine that the fine particles even get through all that they have issues for long-term breathability. Is bad for the lungs. So imagine that going into the fine parts between the dust for the film. How do you change film in a vacuum? That's exactly what I'm saying. If you look at the temperatures, that's also a huge problem. And then at Violet, that's practically all I had for my thing. Then you can go ahead, Marcus.
Thanks, Flat. You've promoted the Apollo detectors very nicely, for which I'm much appreciative, being one of them myself. And you've covered the major problems, except maybe one, the heat in space. We're all told that space is a vacuum, it has no temperature, which is correct until you put something in space to have a temperature, such as a spaceship. Then it has a temperature. But humans can only really operate productively at around 20 degrees centigrade, 60, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That's an ideal temperature for humans to work at. If the internal temperature of a spacecraft in space, heated by the radiant energy of the sun, which can be calculated at 246 degrees Fahrenheit, about 120 degrees centigrade, you've got a non-working environment. You've got a very good temperature to cook a chicken at, but not for humans to work. So you have to remove the heat. Vacuum, as you mentioned, is a very good insulator. So where do you dump the heat? You can't dump it in a vacuum. You have to irradiate it away. It's the only way to remove heat in a vacuum. In order to radiate heat away, you have to have an equivalent temperature. You get the spacecraft receives temperature, it absorbs it, it also eliminates it. So what's the temperature in the middle where those two things happen? 246 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a real problem. So you can use water, you can allow water to evacuate into space, and it will have a reduction in temperature. But you've got to have quite a lot of water to do it, and there wasn't enough carried, certainly not in the spacesuits. And this is one of the major problems. The other being, as you've already mentioned, photographic film. Here is photographic film. Photographic film was what was used on Apollo. It was using ectochrome transparency material. Reversal film is otherwise known as. And the example you showed of the testing that was carried out using photographic film in a vacuum demonstrated that the emulsion, which started life as a liquid, outgasses, and it affects the color balance of the film. But we don't see that happening on any of the 5,771 photographs allegedly taken on the lunar surface. That doesn't seem to apply. Yeah, some of the pictures don't show very much. Some of them are slightly out of focus. but they don't show vacuum damage, let alone radiation damage. Radiation is what creates photographs. It affects the emulsion coated onto a film. The emulsion starts life as a liquid, which it does, and it then can outgas, which it does, in a vacuum. The film will not work. Digital cameras, on the other hand, are quite different. We should not confuse the two. Digital cameras and film cameras are completely different systems. They should not be confused. And if they are, somebody is misleading you. So you've got the heat, the radiation, and the vacuum. Those are the three major problems. They weren't overcome at the time of Apollo, and they haven't been overcome now. The records that NASA have available, and we've studied a great deal of them, thousands of pages, they were conducted, the testing was conducted by Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Kodak, Arizona State University. Many people around the United States were conducting tests for NASA, and the tests were very accurate. When they tested film, they said the film must be protected. It will be damaged in space. Now, one of the criticisms of the idea that NASA faked the moon landings is that how do you keep this secret from the 400,000 people who worked on Apollo? It's very simple. They didn't have a secret to keep. They were doing the very best job they could. It's not 400,000 people. It was probably nearer 2 million people. 400,000 people were directly employed by the many contractors around the America, because one of the purposes of Apollo was to spread the work right across America, from Seattle in Washington State, where Boeing made the rockets, down to California, where a lot of the testing was done, right across to Texas, where the control center was, up to Florida, where the launching was taking place, up to New York, where Grumman were building the lunar landers, right across America. There were thousands of people involved, and they were very proud to work on this program, as set out by John Kennedy in May 1961. He was now a martyred president. He was dead. Therefore, they wanted to fulfill his order to land a human on the moon and return him safely to the Earth. Landing a man on the moon was not really a problem. It had been, humans hadn't been on the moon. Robot satellites had been launched. Robot equipment had been launched. That's not difficult. They can be protected. I've toured satellite manufacturing facilities, and I've asked them, how do you protect against radiation? They said it's very simple. We use lead, we use gold, we use various known levels of protection against the electronics, and they work. Temperatures are not a problem for satellites. Temperatures are a problem for humans. You have to place Apollo in the context of its time, late 1960s, early 1970s. What else was happening? The Vietnam War was getting extremely unpleasant. The Cold War was ramping up deliberately. The space race was ongoing. America had to be seen to succeed. Therefore, they faked it on the grounds they couldn't do it. They didn't have the facility, they didn't have the experience, they didn't have the engineering understanding to put humans, I'm not talking about unmanned craft, I'm not talking about satellites, I'm talking about human beings, us delicate little creatures who need a lot of protection when we're out in space. They couldn't provide it. So they had to fabricate it live on television. Don't forget, it was all live on television. Yeah, I've seen gorillas climb the Empire State Building live on television in King Kong. I've seen dinosaurs chasing kids around kitchens in Jurassic Park. Is that real? No, of course it's not. I've seen men walking on the moon. Is that real? No, of course it's not. I'm not saying Hollywood had much to do with it. Some of the technicians involved may have been consulted, and they certainly were because it was being necessary. The filming of Apollo 11 was more than likely done at Cannon Air Force Base in New Mexico, near Clovis. There's a life-size creation of the Sea of Tranquility called at Cinder Lake near Flagstaff in Arizona. There's no reason to believe that they weren't trying to do it, but they couldn't succeed. They didn't have the technology. They didn't have the ability. So my personal summary of the whole Apollo moon landings is that it was a brilliantly executed propaganda exercise to demonstrate to the world the superiority of American technology. In that it succeeded brilliantly. Landing man on the moon, forget it. Hasn't happened. Didn't happen then, hasn't happened since. So Apollo...
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Sorry.
I hope that presents my position fairly accurately. I'd like to hear some criticism of it.
Thank you very much for that opening statement. And just a couple of quick housekeeping things before we jump into the opening from the moon landing supporters. I want to say, if it's your first time here, welcome to Modern Day Debate. We are a fully neutral debate platform. I'm your host, Dr. James Coons. We are excited to have you here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for many more upcoming debates. You don't want to miss them. With that, we're going to kick it over to Fight the Flat Earth and Darryl. I want to say a huge thank you to all of our speakers for being here. Fight the Flat Earth, and Darryl, the floor is all yours.
Darryl, would you go first or second? Up to you.
Oh, you go ahead, FTFE.
No worries. Right, I'm going to switch camera over, James, so I can present on what I'm showing.
You got it.
Right, so let me get this up so it's on the right screen. One sec. Nope, that's not the right screen. That's still not the right screen. Sorry, my computer has frozen. One sec. Of course it has.
No problem.
There we go.
Folks,
Right.
if you haven't yet, hit that like button. We appreciate your support, and hitting like does help us out, so we appreciate that. And Fight the Flat Earth, floor is all yours.
Okay, I'm really not going to deal with all the conspiracy nonsense about, you know, trying to prove that America was great and all that. I just go with evidence that's available and look at that. And the killer evidence that, for me, destroys any notion the moon landing didn't happen is this video. And this is Apollo 16, and they call it the Grand Prix. And this is a really good shot. The moon buggy goes back and forward in front of the camera, and you see the stuff shooting up from the back of the wheels. The stuff shooting up from the back of the wheels is the important part, because they form what is known as a rooster tail. If I can actually pause it at the right point, maybe get it here. As it goes along, it shoots up the dust behind it, the regolith, in a very particular pattern that's called a rooster tail. And if you watch here, just at the back wheel, as it shoots up, you see that very distinctive pattern. That is, you might not realize it, but that's the killer. That pattern coming off the back of those wheels destroys any notion that the moon landing didn't actually happen. It's been analyzed, and the analysis basically shows that the trajectory of the particles coming off the back of the wheels shows two things. One, that it was in a atmosphereless environment, otherwise they would have shown resistance, and they didn't. They followed a trajectory that showed that there was no resistance. It was a simple parabolic trajectory, and they followed a trajectory that matched a gravitational acceleration of what they would expect on the moon. And they compared it with what you would have on Earth. This particular graph here measured dust trajectory clip 1, which is literally from the clip that I just showed here, shows all the blue dots are the particles that they have identified and followed the trajectory of. They fall within the two curved lines that show the gravitational potential on the moon. If on Earth, you would either have these two green lines. That was what you would expect on the Earth, depending on the speed and the conditions on Earth. It shows air resistance, and it shows a much quicker acceleration towards the ground, which is what you would expect on Earth. But every single one of those particles traveled in a trajectory that showed there was no resistance, and it was in an environment where the gravitational acceleration was much less and matched what we expect on the moon. And that's basically it. For me, that is the absolute killer. The only response is, well, they faked it. Well, if they faked it, how did they remove the atmosphere from this entire massive thing? That would need to be answered, because this was filmed in something that had no atmosphere. And the proof is the analysis that has been done on those trajectories of the particles. So either they built a massive studio, removed all the atmosphere from it, and somehow reduced the acceleration towards the ground, or this was filmed in an environment where the trajectory was dictated by having no resistance and a gravity less than we have on Earth. And that's it. For me, that is the absolute killer. I've gone through so many moon landing denying nonsense. And this is it. There's no response for this that matches the physics of the universe that we live in that can debunk it being on the moon. And with that, over to you, Darryl. I think you're muted, Darryl.
My fault. Sorry about that. Let me switch it over. I was just getting a little bit of feedback, so I muted everybody. Darryl, I just asked you to unmute. And then what we'll do is later, if we're able to fight the flat earth, I'm sure that these photos will come up again. Is that people had said that the resolution was because I had to stretch it so much because it was just your screen showing it.
Yeah, I can share the links if you like, James, so you if you would like to put them up at any time. But yeah, if you need them displayed again, I can make them more clear.
You got it. And Darryl, the floor is all yours as well.
Is everything sharing okay?
Yes, I just have to adjust a little bit because 2 moments. And then I think what we'll do, maybe the rest of the debate, is if everybody just uses the standardized screen share. I'm just going to quick adjust to the standardized screen share again. Thanks for your patience. And Darryl, the floor is all yours.
Hello, everybody. My name is Darryl Lee Berry Jr. It's a pleasure to be back on MDD. Good to be debating with Fight the Flat Earth. I'm a fan. And good to have James be a moderator again. It's been a long time. So I'm a physics student, astronomy student. Some of you all know that from our last time. So I can't say I'm an expert on moon landing, but I'm familiar with the topic a bit. So we'll be debating the moon and whether the astronauts went to the moon. And basically, 2 things come to mind for me when I think about how we know or understand that the moon landing happened. So one is the fact that we have satellites in space. China has satellites in space right now where they're taking pictures of the moon landing locations, the location spots. They can see the effects of the astronauts being there. So that's one thing right there. Another thing that we have as far as moon landing, at least knowing that we went there, is the fact that, and hold up, see why my screen is sticking. If I need to stop sharing one moment here so I could get this to, here we go. So hopefully that still stays the way it was. Another thing that we have is we have the laser reflectors that the astronauts left on the moon. So basically, when they were there, they left these laser reflectors on the moon that are built in such a way that when light goes into it at any angle, it's reflected back at the source of the light. So these things are designed similar to how the plastic or glass structure is on our tail lights, for instance. So that if somebody's coming in behind us and they flash at night, the light that's coming from that car will go back to them so they can see us there rather than bouncing off at an angle. So a similar technology, but more advanced, was used on the moon, and people have utilized those reflectors ever since they were left there to shine laser light there to find out exactly how far the moon is away from us. That's how we have very exact distances for the moon. We could use those things to, for instance, predict lunar eclipses, solar eclipses with the distances and calculating everything. So those are 2 things that come to mind that are pretty clear that we went there. So I look forward to doing as Marcus said and challenging them on some of the things they presented.
Thank you very much for that opening as well. I want to say, as I mentioned, huge thank you to our speakers. They are professionals. They have done a tremendous job. I want to encourage you folks to check out their links in the description box. Be aware that their links are in the description box right now. What are you waiting for? But we're going to continue on with the debate. Thank you very much, gentlemen. The floor is yours for open dialogue.
Can I make a couple of points about what Darryl has just said? He referred to the Chinese pictures. What that actually showed was NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter photograph of the Chinese landers. It wasn't the Chinese photographing the Apollo landers, because they've never done that. All China have ever said was, we have seen on the moon traces of Apollo. They didn't say what they saw. They have never shown a photograph of any of the Apollo landers allegedly on the lunar surface, because they're not there. But they don't want to upset America, so they will go along with the story. China are doing some very interesting activity on the lunar surface because they've landed there. They're not being helped by America, but they have never said they have seen Apollo landers on the lunar surface, nor have India, nor have Japan, nor have Israel. All of those nations have sent unmanned craft to the lunar surface. And as for the laser reflectors, well, forget it. You don't need a laser reflector to bounce a laser off the lunar surface. It was done by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in 1962.
Actually, before that, in Project Diana in World War II.
Yes, but you can get a much
they
more
were bouncing
focused
radio
return.
signals off the moon because it was a secure means of communication.
But if
So
you
just
use a
because
retroreflector,
allegedly
then
a
you can-
lunar laser reflector on the lunar surface doesn't mean that anybody put it there. The Soviets launched unmanned craft in 1970, which had laser reflectors on them as well, made by the French, as it happened. So laser reflectors are not any example of men landing on the lunar surface. I'm sorry about that, but you need to check the records to show that MIT did it 7 years before Apollo and did it successfully. You could bounce a laser off the moon. It's not rocket science.
Okay, so
Sorry.
To quickly respond to that, the first thing you said about the lander.
Actually, let me respond to that since they actually directed it at me.
Okay, yeah.
So the
Thanks,
first
Darryl.
thing, if I was mistaken about China, then that's my mistake. As far as the reflectors, how does anything you said disprove that scientists are sending light beams to the reflectors that the astronauts left there? I don't hear where that disproves that in any way.
No, what I'm saying is that you don't need a reflector to bounce a laser off the lunar surface. That's all.
No, but you get much more
But
focused
that's
return
not
if
what
you
my-
do
that's-
use it. That's the point.
That wasn't my point, though. My point was that the astronauts left reflectors on the moon, and people have been using those specific reflectors to reflect lasers back. Nothing you said has addressed that. So it's similar to if I was to tell you, I went to the store in my car, and you told me, you know what, you don't have to go to the store in a car because I went in a truck. That doesn't change the fact that I went to the store in my car. So what I want you to do is actually address the fact that astronauts left solar reflectors there, and scientists are specifically using those reflectors, so we know they're there because they left at specific locations. You see, if you shine a laser at the moon, it's going to go to a certain place, and when you shine it at the reflector, it's going to reflect back differently because, as I said, it's designed in such a way that if you shoot a beam at it, it'll shoot directly back. So the strength of the beam you receive back from a reflector will be different from just off the lunar surface and things like that. So nothing you've said has addressed that. But yes, they can do it in other ways, but yes, they're also doing it with the reflectors that the Apollo astronauts left on the moon.
Okay. Now, what diameter is a laser beam when it reaches the moon?
I haven't looked at the actual diameter. It's wider though.
Yes, 2 kilometers. So if that laser reflector is about half a square meter, which it is, which I've seen the pictures of it, the percentage of light being received by that reflector is so tiny that to then be reflected back to Earth, when it would, the laser beam is a diameter of about 20 kilometers, the percentage of light being received on Earth, it takes the best part of 8 hours for a receiver on Earth to receive sufficient light, of photons of light, from the moon to record any signal at all. It's not like shining a laser at a mirror and getting an immediate reflection back. That's not the way it works. Not on the moon.
Do you have any evidence for that claim, Alan? That you're just kind of saying things there, but do you have any evidence for the things that you've just said?
Oh, there's plenty of evidence.
Well, could you present that evidence? Because you are just kind of saying things, and
No. I can find the evidence. It would just take a little while to find it. I'm just quoting what scientists have confirmed many times,
and
that a laser beam fired from Earth has a diameter the best part of 2 kilometers by the time it reaches the lunar surface.
Well, that's also the thing. Because they've done this since World War II, okay, that means they still get receiving back. Now, as Marcus is saying, because it's 2 kilometers wide, that reflector is you're not going to get even 1% of its reading back. So that reading you're getting back would just be lunar surface reading anyway. So you are begging the question that they did put lunar reflectors on there in the first instance. You haven't proven it to exist. You're just making a claim and telling us to debunk something that hasn't been validated yet. That's it.
Okay, so there's a lot of that is easily debunkable. When you get a signal back from the retroreflectors, it's a lot stronger than you get back just from the surface of the moon. You are correct that it's an extremely small amount that you get returned back. In fact, it's about 1 photon in every 10 to the 17 photons, so about 0.000000000000001% sent from Earth then gets returned to the telescope. That's why they designed very specific, very accurate and sensitive detectors specifically for that, to be able to detect the signal they would expect coming back from the retroreflectors compared to not hitting the retroreflectors. They've been bouncing signals off the moon for a long time, but when they put the retroreflectors there, they were able to get a stronger signal back that is, it's still extremely weak, but still stronger than just the moon on its own. So there's no problem with saying that it's hitting the retroreflector, because they've got the things that detect those tiny amount of photons back. That's why they designed that, and they can tell if it's hitting the retroreflector or not, even with the extreme divergence of the beam.
Well, the thing is, would you, because obviously I don't believe what the moon is, but based on your guys' belief, can there be different type of rock on the moon, which would give a different reflective capacity?
They would aim it at certain areas that they would know where the regolith is, but yes, there is different rocks that reflect different certain bits, but still not as strong as what you would have from a specially designed retroreflector. And the interesting part is that as the time's gone on, the signal that you get back from the retroreflector has actually got weaker, because it's got destroyed by solar radiation and things like that, as they were expecting over time. But they can still say, well, based on the degradation, this is the signal that we expect to get back, and it is that signal, compared to anything else that is naturally occurring on the moon.
It's be the rock that's giving that reflective property, and not the reflector.
Well, there isn't a rock that's as reflective as the retroreflectors. They were designed to be exponentially more reflective than anything that naturally occurs on the moon. And it was placed in a location that was actually relatively, level, and with just kind of regolith and stuff around it on purpose, so that they were able to determine if they were hitting the retroreflectors or not.
Another question for that: because it's been 50 years or something, would it not be covered in lunar dust by now?
That's one of the things that's making it degrade. I mean, regolith is very sticky, but there isn't an atmosphere to move the regolith around. So there's not like wind that's blowing the regolith onto the retroreflector. So there's going to be very little of the moon's surface that has then gone onto the retroreflectors. The degradation would more likely be from solar radiation and things like that than actual regolith getting onto it, because there's nothing there to lift the regolith onto it.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I failed to see where you've actually shown reflectors there. You're just making assumptions and then claiming validity based on that assumption. Like I said, it could be different rocks. It could be just, it's the amount is so small that even that percentage based on that large target degradation will be there. And like I said, there is lunar dust that does move on the Earth because there is a little small amount of atmosphere on the moon's surface,
Not
which
enough
would
to move the
require
regolith, no.
to move around. Even when the astronauts are there and they were there, they suffer with lunar regolith, the lunar surface dust getting in between every pore of their suit when they actually climb and take the suit off. Dust everywhere inside.
That's because they were moving around.
The dust on the lunar surface.
Yeah, that's obviously because they were actually moving around and disturbing the dust. There is no, there's a tiny element of tiny portions of gas attached to the moon because of its gravity. But there's no atmosphere, there's no wind, there's no weather systems. There is literally nothing that moves around the regolith on the moon apart from it being disturbed by something else. The reason the astronauts got it in their suit was because they were moving around. And then when they took it off, when they got out of the suits in the airlocks, they then got touched by the regolith that was stuck in their suit. But there's no atmosphere, like there's literally no wind on the moon, like there is on Mars or on Earth.
No moving flag. Okay.
Well, that only moved because of inertia. As they put it up and they wiggled it around, it moved. And there was nothing to stop that wave of energy.
Marcus actually presented an interesting thing about that flag before, about the flag being wet. Have you guys ever seen that argument before?
Yeah, but for now we stick to things that were discussed within the openings, if that's okay, rather than bringing in extra bits of evidence right now.
I'd like to ask a question about before we leave the reflector topic. Flatzoid, I heard you give the common flat earth rebuttal of just saying it could be this or it could be that. So let me ask you in general, if a scientist performs an experiment and gets a result, and you say, well, it could be this, do you think that just saying it could be this trumps whatever is done in reality? Like, do you think saying it could be this just means that whatever is done in reality is non-existent anymore?
Look at it to see if it is first scientific.
Yeah, again?
The hypothesis for the experiment, and then we'll look at it that way to see if it is anyway scientific.
I've already said it. Scientists have sent lasers to the moon and got reflections back. So
problem, mostly thing you guys have is pseudoscience, and you're trying to claim it as science. Now, when you're claiming reflectors, that's just a claim. You haven't backed that claim up with anything other than circular reasoning. That's not scientific. Science is not based on circular reasoning. It's based on cause and effect.
Let's back up. What I'm saying is, I've seen scientists demonstrate sending a laser to the moon and getting a signal back and showing this signal on their equipment that matches, because they don't just send like random signals. They send signals that have a certain cadence to it, so that when they receive it back, they know it's their signal, right? And they know what the reflector's doing. They know the strength is going to be. So what I'm asking you is, given that scientists have done this thing and shown their results, do you think just saying it could be a reflective rock, do you think that just wipes away anything?
Yes, because the thing is, first of all, it's not science. So it doesn't matter if a scientist did it. A janitor can do it and get the same results. The point is, it's more plausible that it's a type of rock that gives reflective surfaces than it is for a reflector that goes there. Remember, you guys haven't even shown it true that they have been on the moon to put those reflective down. You're just making a claim and expecting people to adapt to that claim because of it. That's not really how it works.
No, you're misinterpreting what we're doing. The retroreflectors are just part of evidence that we went to the moon, And again, there is no moon on the moon's surface that gives the reflective properties that the retroreflectors do, according to all of science. And also, it is science because they made a prediction and tested that prediction, which is literally the foundation of science. You just denying that things happen and saying it's more plausible than this does not dismiss the things that were done. It's literally just denial on your part. The claims of retroreflectors are commonly known, and there's plenty of evidence to show. There's videos and pictures of the astronauts putting them down, which I know you guys would just say was fake, but there's evidence that it happened. More evidence that it happened is the fact that we can predict what we will get back when we hit the retroreflectors, and we get that back compared to what we did before the retroreflectors were placed, which was just getting a signal back from the moon itself. And they're different. We can tell they're different. We can even follow the degradation of the equipment that was put there. Right, now, does it absolutely 100% prove that people went there and put it on the moon? Well, apart from the videos and pictures, I guess not. It could have been robotic drones that went and put a retroreflector on the moon. But the question of whether there is a retroreflector or not on the moon is a fact, according to the testing of predictions of what would happen if you fired a laser at it and got it back. But, I'm not saying that it wasn't humans that put it there. I followed the evidence of the pictures and videos showing them putting it there. But, can I prove to you those pictures and videos were not fake beyond your standard of evidence? No, I don't think anybody can.
Just one point on faking pictures. You showed the Apollo 16 Grand Prix.
Yes,
and presented
video,
that as conclusive evidence for man being on the lunar surface.
Well, actually, I presented the analysis of that video as the evidence.
Okay, now, do you know for certain that that was a real life-sized lunar rover driven by a named Apollo astronaut? Do you know for certain?
According to all the evidence, it shows that it does. Was I there watching them do it myself? No. But you are now creating an impossible standard of evidence that no one should be expected to follow. The evidence presented, following the analysis of the particles, shows that it was done in even if it was smaller than we're saying, then those particles still followed a trajectory where there was no atmosphere and where gravity was of what we expect on the moon rather than Earth. You just saying, can I personally prove that astronauts actually did it and it wasn't just a miniature buggy, is just denialism that really doesn't need to be engaged with.
It does. Because
no, denialism does not need to be engaged with.
No, shut up. Wait a minute.
Please don't tell me to shut up.
You say it. Well, okay. Please let me speak.
Okay, but denialism will not be engaged with.
If you examine the film of that buggy, the lunar rover and the astronaut in it, you will see that he is not moving his arm. It does not move. He keeps it at one level the whole time. It's not on the controller, which is in the center. That arm, it doesn't even bounce when he goes over a big hole.
I mean, I'll just prove you wrong by getting it up, because,
work as
just examine that particular film closely.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I have done. I have done. I've even got a 4K version of it here, 4K 60 frames a second upgraded, and you can literally see frame by frame if you want. I'll take you through it, and you can see his arms moving exactly as you would expect. Also, do you know the specifics of the engineering of the buggy and what movements are required compared to what they're hitting? It's not like they're just driving a standard car on Earth. So, do you have any evidence of that claim? Can you present an analysis of the video that shows the arms not moving? Because I can present a video right now and show you frame by frame with the arms are moving to show that you're wrong. But I will first give you a chance, Alan, to present your analysis of the video to back up that claim.
I prefer to be called Marcus, by the way.
Marcus, Alan. Well, I apologize. You have two first names. It's very hard.
Because so I'm not confused with the big American football player of the same name. He's big and black, and I'm big and white. You can tell the difference. Marcus is my preferred name.
I apologize. I got it wrong. Okay. Just I won't call you Marcus. It was my mistake. Okay, I apologize.
That's okay.
Marcus, can I ask you a question? Because you've demonstrated to Fight the Flat Earth that your standard of evidence is out there. So would you describe to us what it was like when you went to space and personally verified that no equipment could last out there in the temperature of the sun? Like, what did you do? How did you personally verify? What was the process of going in space and doing that and knowing for sure, personally, that material can't last out there with a human in it?
So I haven't said that material can't last. I'm saying that humans have a real problem lasting in space, not equipment.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, exactly. So, apologize for my misspeaking. So, how did you personally? So you must have personally went out in space and in equipment and known that humans couldn't last out there. Would you describe what was the process? How did you personally verify and know yourself that humans can't do that? How did you know that for sure? Would you go? So let's hear that.
All right. You've heard of Mount Everest, obviously, the highest mountain allegedly on planet Earth.
Yes.
29,000 and a few feet. Humans cannot survive on the top of Mount Everest without protection. Above 26,000 feet, it's called the death zone for obvious reasons. People die. Then that's less than 5 miles above sea level. So if humans at that level, 5 miles above the lunar surface, need protection to survive, not from the lack of oxygen, but from the reduced pressure forcing the oxygen into the lungs, it's a reasonable...
This is what I'm noticing.
Say again?
This is what I'm noticing. You said that's reasonable. This is what I'm noticing. Flight to Flat Earth presented a video showing that given our understanding, we can calculate how fast things fall in the gravitational field. We can look at the particles and see that they're falling in such a way that there's no atmosphere, that the gravity is lighter. You said that's not enough. Or can you be absolutely sure? But yet, you just gave us similar evidence. You didn't tell me you went into outer space in a capsule and you died. You said, okay, I'm going to give you something relevant that's related. You can't survive on the top of a mountain, so obviously you can't survive in space. That's reasonable. That's what you just told me. So that tells me that your reasoning is either flawed or dishonest. That you would present Flat to Flat Earth with a standard of evidence that you're not holding yourself to. If he needs to know for certain that there's a named astronaut in that rover, and it's not enough for him to calculate the fall of gravity and to see that there's no air there, it's not enough for you to just talk about Mount Everest. That's not space. So what is it going to be? Are you going to hold yourself to the standard of evidence that you want to hold Flat to Flat Earth to? Or are you going to be reasonable with him as well and accept that he looked at that dust is falling at 1/6 the gravity of Earth, is falling in a way that there's no atmosphere, and thus he knows that astronauts were there. And it's the two choices you have. Either be dishonest or actually engage with Flat to Flat Earth's evidence, just like you wanted me to engage with you about Mount Everest.
I mean, I can certainly respond to his one criticism, which was that, you can look and see the arms weren't moving because I've got it ready and I can show frame by frame how his arms exactly moved as he went over certain bumps, which I'll do in one sec. But I just want to say quickly, for the sake of Flatzoid, I think he's got a problem with his audio and has had to temporarily leave. So just bear with Flatzoid, and I'm sure he will be back because engaging with him about science is endlessly entertaining. But James, would it be okay if I quickly presented a video? Oh, James isn't there, so I'm just gonna do it anyway. Wait. Hey guys, we're in charge of the channel right now. No, he's back. It's okay. James,
5 seconds. Flight to Flat Earth was the king of modern day debate. I witnessed it.
Thank you for your patience. I had to plug in my laptop, but we're ready for you. And
all right, okay.
Flatzoid is back.
Oh, I hope it's working now.
Yeah, we can hear you now, Flatzoid.
I was trying to talk this whole time and I realized, why is everybody ever talking to me? It's like, I can't.
You've never sounded better, mate. No, I'm even joking.
Are you able, Flight the Flat Earth, to do a screen share here in Zoom?
Yeah, if that way that's fine. That makes it easier for you, absolutely. Screen share.
But the point I wanted to bring up while he's doing that quickly, Marcus, the thing is, look how that video is showing. It doesn't rebut anything we brought up of how the cameras were able to work on the lunar surface.
Oh, we get to all of that, yeah. But the fact that it exists shows that the cameras could work. So there's that. Right. Anyway, so I want you to pay close attention to his arm. Am I sharing the screen, James? Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Right, I just got it so everyone can see up on my side as well. Right, if you pay attention to his arm that is closer to us, and as I skip it frame by frame, which it's not doing because for some reason. All right, you can see as he goes over a bump here, his arm reacts and goes up and then down as you would expect. And I'll go back a bit because it skipped the bit I wanted. As he's going over that bump, you can see that his arm changes position relative to the one behind it. Let me get back. So at this point, it's really quite low relative to the arm, the other side of it. But as he goes over a bump here, the arm corrects the steering just there, as you expect. And it goes up and gets closer to the other one. And his whole body shifts with the steering, which he then moves to the left slightly to correct. So he's going in a straight line and even hitting bumps, and you can see the arms doing the slight corrections that you would expect with the extreme suspension. But it's even better because if we get to bits where he's turning, I had another point prepared. So here we go. It's very harder to see when he's zoomed in.
Based on that, FTFE, wouldn't it be possible that they just have a controller for that?
Do you have any evidence of that? Because
it's like a remote control car with the hands just stuck to it. As it turns, the hands have to obviously go with it. Isn't that possible?
Do you have any evidence of that? Anything is possible, but do you have evidence of that
Yes,
claim?
because the point is you haven't shown how the cameras can work on the lunar surface
I'm showing the cameras working now.
We can show you
I'm literally showing the cameras
technology was existent in those years, and thus this could just be a miniature scale.
His arm is moving. See how much that you could see his glove, especially in this frame. I'm just trying to debunk Marcus here. So especially here, as he goes over these bumps, you can see his gloves reflecting, and you can see how much he corrects the steering with his arms there, and they change position. So the claim of he doesn't move his arms is incorrect. He does. It's very little, but that's because there's suspension there designed to make the steering a lot easier. But now, if I could
I don't see what you're claiming there.
If you could analyze it closer, you will see the slight movements of the arms. I showed a bit on a very, when he's not even turning around a corner, he's just going over bumps, and you can see his arms correcting like this. I showed it frame by frame. And if you in your own, it might be a bit harder.
By knowing it could be a remote control car.
What? This is okay. So
an action figure stuck to the wheel, and it gives little recruits as it's moving. That's just normal.
Okay, so
the technology for remote control cars were existent those days.
Okay, but this is still in an atmosphere that has no environment and is low gravity. But we can get into the film evidence if you like.
Does density? Wait. Does density change the behavior of that dust?
If there's no air, there's no density of the air, then yes, it would change the behavior of it because it would cause less resistance.
So how do you know the density of the claimed dust on the moon?
Oh, but with the analysis that I showed earlier.
Yeah, but that is making, again, an assumption.
It matches the predictions of what we say would happen on the moon. No, it matches.
So it's already a biased analysis.
No, it's not a bias. It matches the predictions of what we say should happen on the moon. There's nothing biased about it.
The density of regolith is.
You have to assume that's part of science, but we've actually been there and tested the density of the regolith, but you just deny that. So it's just circular reasoning on your part. Any evidence we give, you say we have to.
Again,
so one second,
everything you find
one second, please. I was in the middle of saying
they've been there.
I was in the middle of saying. I was
before making.
I was talking. Please. I was in the middle of saying something. No, what you're doing is saying every bit of evidence we give, you don't believe because reasons. But every bit of evidence we give is evidence we've been there. And all you're doing is going, well, I don't think the cameras could work because you don't understand how the cameras worked. The analysis you clearly don't. The analysis of this footage shows that it was in a position that was no atmosphere and in low gravity, right? That is factual. Okay. Right, but we can get to how the cameras worked. That's absolutely fine.
I want to get it back to Marcus, but before we do that, I just want to make a logical statement here. What's more logical? You're claiming things that violate how the camera would work in a vacuum with the film and everything.
It doesn't.
Is just magically working against logical deduction that they could have done this miniature in a studio with the correct density dirt and fooled you all.
No, because it still shows gravity that happens on Earth and with no resistance at all to any of the dirt. But you not understanding how cameras work on the moon is something we can get into. That's absolutely fine. Now I've got all my research in front of me here. The basic answer is that they were shielded. It's simple. How did they get through the Van Allen belts? Well, number one, they took very little time going through the Van Allen belts. They, on purpose, chose the path that took the least time through the Van Allen belts and went through the weakest part. And they were inside a spaceship that was lined against the protection with the film inside something which was also with protection. So very limited exposure, no problem. They were designed and made sure, thanks to that protection, that they could get through. They didn't spend hours and hours and days in the Van Allen belts in the extremely strong parts. They spent a little time in it in the weak parts. And then on the moon, simple. They were shielded. They were in contained things that kept they'd never exposed the film to the vacuum of space or to the radiation.
It was on his chest. It was on his chest, not in a contained thing.
Yeah, it was
on his
lit.
chest.
Yeah, but the actual camera was designed for it to be contained. The whole camera system was contained. It wasn't just a normal, bog standard Hasselblad camera strapped to his chest.
Do you know how to change film on a film camera?
Can I finish speaking before you interrupt? That's wonderful. Thank you. So it wasn't just a standard, normal, bog standard Hasselblad camera strapped to them. It was one designed to be used in that environment. To change the film, they had a system specifically. It was just cartridge insert. That was it. It wasn't just a normal film that you had to expose and then put in. You are just making a straw man of the equipment that was used on the moon. If you can't understand the equipment that was actually used on the moon, then that's not our fault. But it was designed specifically for ease of use and to be protected against the environment that they went to. They didn't just give them a standard Hasselblad camera. Off you go, boys, do your best.
Actually, they did.
No.
Give a standard Hasselblad. I've handled a replica of the Lunar camera. I've appeared on television demonstrating it. I've used professionally a genuine Hasselblad camera. Film is changed on film magazines. You can take a film magazine off the back of the Hasselblad anytime you like, as long as you put the dark slide in to protect the film. The cameras allegedly used on the moon had no more protection than they were painted aluminium instead of silver, and they had the black leatherette covering removed. Otherwise, it would outgas. That's what Hasselblad said. We took it off because it was outgassing space. So they knew about outgassing. There was no
I've got all the info
vacuum
about you're wrong.
there was no vacuum protection on the Hasselblad camera used on the lunar surface. If there was, you would see it. There was neither any protection on the Mara 16mm film cameras used on the lunar surface.
You're just saying things with no evidence. I can prove you wrong with actual evidence if you like.
That would be great because he actually held a replica, and Gary Fong as well, who is a professional Hasselblad photographer, says exactly the same as what Marcus just said, which can affirm what he said.
So if you're saying there was protection, please show how that protection was attached to the camera and what effect it had.
Okay, so modifications made to the Hasselblad camera: removal of the viewfinder and reflex mirror, simplified controls, larger buttons, specialized lenses, magnesium alloy body and thermal insulation, special films, changing a film on the moon. Film magazine: instead of changing rolls of film, the cameras used preloaded magazines. These magazines were designed for quick attachment and detachment. They snapped onto the camera body securely, ensuring no light exposure or damage. The film magazines held up to 200 frames per roll, allowing astronauts to take many shots before needing to swap magazines. The high capacity minimized the number of times they needed to change film on the lunar surface. The film magazines were designed to be light, tight, and resistant to vacuum exposure when astronauts needed to change film. They detached the used magazine and put it in a specialized container to protect it from radiation, dust, and temperature fluctuations. The new magazine was then attached to the quickly to the camera. The mechanism was simple enough that astronauts could change the film with their bulky gloves on, and involved a straightforward clip-in system when the magazine would click into place, ensuring it was securely and properly aligned. So you're wrong.
Yeah.
That's from Hasselblad, just so you know.
I want to ask you, so when they clip that off, is it exposed?
No.
Yeah, of course it is. This is how film cameras work. It's exposed. That plate
Normal
is
film
exposed.
cameras, but it was
Even here
altered
on
to be
Earth.
on the moon.
Even here on Earth, do you know
I guess
how
this is what we need to
sensitive
do,
that
guys.
plate is?
Again, I
What we
just
need to do, guys,
explained.
to finish this topic real fast, because Flight to Flat Earth is reading what the manufacturer, science, and so forth are saying happened. You're saying that's not enough to work. So please give us your calculations, specifications, the amount of radiation, and let us
trying
know
to.
what the actual effect will be.
I'm telling you, if you've ever worked with a film camera, you would understand.
No. I want you to don't tell us I'm
why are you
hypothetical.
over-talking me?
Give us
So
the
as
actual
soon as
data.
this isn't hypothetical. This is how film cameras work. They have
No. I'm
plate.
talking about
You
that
have
specific
to-
camera.
you have-
We're talking
you
about
have
that
to
specific camera,
Gentlemen,
not in
just so there's
general.
not too much over talking, let's Flatzoid, if you want to finish, we'll give you 30 seconds and then we'll kick it right back to you, to Darryl.
Sure. Thank you very much. Yes, how a film camera works, it's got a back plate. You have to remove it, just like he said with a cartridge, you have to remove. It will be exposed. Okay, even here on Earth, that it's very sensitive to dust and anything. So as soon as it's removed, it's exposed. And then they'd have to clip in that cartridge here. And that cartridge also has to be open and exposed to fit against the other open exposed film for it to work. This is impossible if it's in a vacuum with a lot of fine dust particles. That's all I'm saying.
Let's
Yeah,
go back to
normal,
Darryl for 30
absolutely.
seconds.
A normal camera.
60 seconds, whatever you need.
So please let us know the amount of radiation that was coming from the sun, the type of radiation, how it would have penetrated that material, and so forth. Please give us those details for that specific
before that,
camera
Darryl,
that
I could just
Flight to
quickly
Flat Earth mentioned with those specifications.
But just before that, I can quickly respond to the claim that Flatzoid said about it when they changed.
I want to let him
problems.
finish. Please let him give us that evidence. Go ahead and give us
before
specific evidence for
they do
that
that,
camera.
but first of all,
Let's go ahead, Flatzoid. We'll give you a chance to respond.
So just quickly before we get to that, because I just don't want
Wait,
it to get lost,
hold on,
lost
wait.
in the
I think, Darryl, do I understand right? You were asking, you wanted to
Flatzoid
answer
is supposed to be
Flatzoid
giving
before.
us the specific evidence for the radiation, the impact that it would have had on that specific camera in that specific time frame. How long was it not connected, and so forth. So let's see that, Flatzoid.
Okay.
You're in the hot
first
seat,
of all,
Flatzoid. Go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, I didn't say anything about radiation now. I was talking about dust particles and the vacuum. But based on radiation, we have actual demonstrations where Marcus has done taking that film that NASA used and stuck it in a vacuum, and they put radiation onto it, which gave the effects which we claim. So you're not understanding that the film would have outgassing because of the vacuum, and the plate would be contaminated by the fine dust, and the radiation based just from the sun alone and its temperatures would actually cook it, that you wouldn't be able to see what you're seeing. It's not my problem. It's just your incredulity to understand how film works. Sorry.
Okay.
Let's try this again.
It's
Flight
very
to Flat
simple.
Earth read the specific specifications. He read the specific changes that were made to the cameras and what they were made to do. You're saying that's not enough. So give us the amount of dust that would have went in that amount of time. How much time it was disconnected. You even made the little separation disconnected. So if it's separated for a second and put in for a second, how many granules of dust? How much dust can the material withstand, since it was obviously made to withstand that? Give us those details and show us that what it would have impacted is over its tolerance level. Let's see that.
Okay, moving the goalpost isn't going to work, but even 1 grain of dust would impact the film. 1 second,
let's see those
split second
calculations.
of exposure to a vacuum would affect the film. 1 split second of the radiation would affect the film. And they take.
Okay,
and
so let's
have
see
you ever
those
seen an
calculations.
astronaut-
Let's see that
Have you ever
evidence that
seen
would
an
have ruined it.
astronaut? Have you ever seen an astronaut try and hold a hammer before? It falls out their hand. Now you're telling me they take a cartridge like this on his chest with ease and just quickly putting it back. I can tell you it's probably taking longer than 10 seconds to try and get that cartridge on with those gloves that they can't even bend their fingers. There's a reason
No
why
problem.
they had to
make why they had to do adjustments and modifications on the lens because they couldn't press buttons.
Okay.
Yeah, help you out,
can
Flatzoid.
I
The
just-
answer is
right.
you don't know.
Yeah.
That's what the answer is. All this dancing around is avoiding the fact you don't know. You don't have the answers. So what's going on is Fight the Flat Earth gave details, and you're just giving these generalities about general cameras and how it must be. You don't know. You don't have it. So I think we should move on to another topic.
But just quickly, if I can just respond with actual specifics from Hasselblad, they designed something specific called the light-tight film magazine system. The film magazine system used on the cameras were completely light, tight, and vacuum sealed. This meant the film was always enclosed in a protective environment, even when detached from the camera body. When the astronauts removed or attached the film magazine, it remained sealed, preventing any exposure to light, vacuum, or temperature extremes. It had a quick release mechanism, which they say allowed for astronauts to swiftly remove and attach magazines without any risk of exposure. The magazines were designed to clip on securely, ensuring they remained sealed throughout the process. So again, a normal camera, you're going to be right, but they did not take a normal camera. They took a camera designed for the environments and for the bulky equipment that the astronauts were using. All you're doing is saying, well, we don't believe it happened because of how cameras work, ignoring the camera they designed to work in that condition.
Okay, they did design the camera to work in those conditions.
Thank you.
Up. Hang on. Your description of what Hasselblad did is basically pretty accurate. They took away the viewfinder, note that, so they couldn't use a viewfinder. They took away the mirror, so they didn't use that.
Yep, they just pointed the
They
direction.
did replace the shutter button, the aperture ring, and the focus ring with little levers so that somebody in a spacesuit with big gloves, very inflexible gloves, could just push them. Yeah, they did all that. But the point that was being made, I think, was to do with how do you change a film on the moon?
I just explained that.
Explain. I know you did, and I explained it as well. I used a Hasselblad camera. I know what they can and cannot do. You put a little dark slide in, which prevents the film inside the magazine from being exposed. You then push a little lever. The magazine is taken off, and you can put it away, and you can put another one on. Same process in reverse. The point, I think, has been overlooked, and I know that Darryl has mentioned it, to do with a vacuum on the moon. Now, what is the vacuum on the moon? Is it a hard vacuum? Can we recreate it here on Earth? Is it similar to the International Space Station? Is the vacuum on the moon many thousands of times greater or harder, I think is the correct expression, than at the International Space Station, and certainly harder than at the Kármán line, which is named after Theodore von Kármán, who worked at NASA and wanted to identify where space began. The Kármán line is only 60 miles above the Earth's surface, not very far away. The International Space Station, the vacuum level is harder. There's less pressure. On the moon, there's even less pressure because there's nothing to press with. There's no atmosphere, as we discussed. You get into deep space and you've got nothing there at all. So you've got a very, very hard vacuum. Us delicate little creatures, we're not designed for those conditions.
Correct. That's why they use spacesuits.
We have to... Okay, a spacesuit. Yes, obviously. Now, many years ago, I've been doing this, you can tell, for quite a long time.
Not very well, apparently.
Well, okay. This was fairly soon after Chernobyl, 1986, I think, 86.
Just David, do you want any of your questions answered?
Hang on. Just don't interrupt me, please. I don't interrupt you. Don't interrupt me.
You've been talking for a while, and I've got notes on the things you've been saying.
It's show bad manners. You must be polite.
If you could, you're going on for a while. Just when you're
ready. Doing it again. Stop it.
Let's hear from Marcus Allen.
Thank you. Chernobyl.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just when you're ready.
Major nuclear power station meltdown. So I thought, whoa, hey guys, we got an answer here. These spacesuits used on the Apollo moon landings could obviously protect astronauts from the radiation and all the stuff in space. So I contacted the manufacturers of those spacesuits, a company called Hamilton Standard, and I said, could these spacesuits be used by technicians to go into Chernobyl, and now, 3 Mile Island, and now Fukushima? Could they protect from the radiation conditions in those power stations? And they said, we built them according to the specification provided by NASA. You better address your question to them. So I did. And I'm still waiting for the answer.
Okay.
So I don't know if they can or not. NASA are not about to say so.
No, you're still going on. It's okay.
So could the spacesuits be used here on Earth in those conditions? No, I hear you say it's different sort of radiation.
Oh, no, you're still talking. Okay.
So you've got this idea that radiation is all these sort of different frequencies, which it is.
I do want to switch it over. I think you asked him a question.
But primarily...
Oh, he asked the question a while ago, James. I've got the answer for the first question he asked, but then he's just rambled for about 10 minutes.
I think, what was the most recent question you just asked? It was only about 5 seconds ago.
I'm just focusing on, after the first question, I've ignored everything else because I deal with a question at a time. So I'll just respond to the first question he said.
Okay, Craig, can you use the suits in Chernobyl?
No, that wasn't the first question. I've ignored everything he said after the first question.
The point was about the radiation. Can you use
it was several questions, and I will answer the first question, and then he can ask other questions. So the first question was, what's the difference in the pressure of the vacuum on the moon and next to the ISS? Number one, hard isn't a science term. I don't know why you would say that. Number two, yes, there is a difference. On the moon, it's about 10 to the negative 12 torr. By the ISS, it's about 10 to the negative 7 to 10 to the negative 9 torr. So yes, there is less pressure on the moon than Earth. So what was the next question?
So
again, after the first question, I ignored everything else you said because I was just focusing on the first question. So what was the next question? And then I'll answer that.
Yeah, but there's something that follows that, so you have to give an answer.
Well, no, I do one question at a time. So that's the first question. What was the next question?
You didn't answer it. You haven't answered his
question. His question specifically.
His
hold on. No, his question was what was the difference in pressure. I have given that answer.
Why?
Hold on. No.
Just to be sure, we got one person at a time.
Yeah, just to be clear, his question was, is there less vacuum on the moon than by the ISS? That was a question. So I have now answered that question. I will now ask for the following question. Mr. Allen, what was your next question?
How do you protect astronauts in that level of vacuum?
With a spacesuit.
Okay, I've answered that.
No,
because nobody will provide the answer. Don't forget that one of the things that was prominent on the Apollo 11 original landing, there were 6 following that, was that they had to keep the weight down. Guess what they did? They counted every stitch on those spacesuits.
Yeah, they're very specifically designed. You're right. Yeah.
Hang on, stitch on a spacesuit. How do you ensure that pressure is maintained through a stitch, let alone
very carefully with multiple layers?
The zipper is the killer.
Are you aware that the scuba suits exist that stop pressure in and out and stuff as well? It's not very hard.
Suits work on incoming pressure.
Yeah, they stop the pressure coming through with stitching.
Do you know what
the suits were designed with multiple layers.
One at a time.
The suits were designed with multiple layers.
I think there's maybe a little bit of feedback. Maybe that's what I'm hearing, but I can't tell if it's feedback or if it's someone else trying to speak.
There was multiple layers of insulation with multiple types of stitching that were designed specifically to keep pressure in. Just saying I don't believe stitching could do that without looking or presenting the specifications is irrelevant. Mr. Allen, you seem to have jumped questions again because you said about the pressure and then you asked something else about the suits. Just saying you don't think they would work with no evidence isn't really something that can be engaged in with discussion. If you would like to talk about the technical specifications of the suit, then that's absolutely fine. But you obviously don't know them because you wouldn't have said that. They were designed to keep that little pressure difference. That was it.
Is a zipper airtight?
They can be, yes. Sorry,
in a vacuum. A zipper.
I'm getting a phone call. Yeah, there's zippers that can be airtight. Yes, absolutely.
Can you show us these zippers?
Would you like me to show you the manufacturer of an airtight zipper? I can do that if you like.
Yeah, show us testing a airtight zipper, please.
Oh no, so now you've changed it from showing me an airtight zipper to testing an airtight. I loved how you just moved the goalpost there, fans.
Well, the reason I'm asking,
I can show you. I can show you I can show you. No, let me answer the question. Yeah, I'm trying to answer the question.
A lot of products make claims that's not actually true. That's why when you ask for manufacturing demonstrations, it's to show their product holds true. I can easily say I make shirts that are unterrible, but if they're not tested, you can't prove.
Yeah, they were tested. I can show you videos of spacesuits being tested. James May wore one in a vacuum chamber, and it worked. He didn't die. You know, there's many videos of it.
Sorry, with the military guy standing in the same chamber as him.
No, there was no military guy in the same chamber as him. That's a lie.
He was.
No, that's a lie. They were outside the chamber where he was in the chamber. You can see the water boiling in front of him, even though there's no temperature change. You can see the things around him reacting to the pressure change. He was in a vacuum chamber and there was nobody else in it. What you've just said is an outright lie.
That glove was attached to an air hose on the wall. The water, you can easily have bubbles pushing from underneath.
Oh, so more not us then.
They literally had a military man standing in the chamber with him.
Show me the video of that then. Show me the video of him in the chamber. Where is it? That video doesn't exist because that didn't happen.
I actually like that are y'all still, he's about to pull up a video right now?
Yeah, Darryl, please carry on.
Pulling up a video, Flatzoid? Yeah. Okay. No, let's let him finish.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to see a military man in the same vacuum chamber as James May when the chamber's on and active. I guess he's just searching for a non-existent video. You're
no,
muted,
I've got it. I just want to share my screen.
Yeah, okay, please go ahead. It's going to be funny, guys. He's going to show a military man in a vacuum chamber. Welsh James May in it as well. Or is it someone outside of the chamber? Who knows? What do we reckon, guys?
No, it's really. Can you see this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's quickly
go. As long as if you can hold on.
Yeah, I don't want to really because I'm scared of copyright because BBC. But I'm gonna do it like this.
So you can actually see. Muted. As long as it's muted, that's.
Yeah, it's muted and stuff. But do you see he's like this? Because I've actually got copyright strike for this video before when we went through it. So you see he's standing there. He's going inside. There, she's going to close the door now. With him inside. You can see there's the glove behind him. There we go, with James May and the other guy. Closing it.
And
oh no. Now they're doing the valve release. Oh no. Oh. What's going on? There's the guy.
Right, now
standing
show
with
the actual video
with him and the glove. Oh no!
You notice that the guy was also wearing protection.
What do you have to say?
Well, the guy wasn't just not wearing anything; he was wearing protection.
He only had a gas mask. He only had an air breathing mask. That was it.
He had some on his face as well.
What was the use of his spacesuit?
To show that it works in a vacuum chamber. But you said there was a military guy in there with no protection, but the guy had protection. Why don't people just have normal military-grade gas masks then? They don't need spacesuits.
They
had stuff because they don't need a spacesuit for that. They're just showing that the spacesuit works.
You know what happens in a true vacuum? Wait.
I was still talking there? They were using equipment that was also suitable to be in a vacuum chamber.
Bare skin, suitable for a vacuum chamber. Are you smoking pot?
Yeah, actually I am. But they had equipment on them that was suitable to be in the vacuum chamber. Can you show it when it was on and show them in the vacuum chamber and what they're wearing when it's on?
Yeah, you saw the glove was expanded.
Yeah, and
I think I've shown enough. Just concede.
Where was the guy? No, I'm not wrong because they had protection on. You said there was just a military guy in there with nothing on, but he had protection on.
He only had a mask on. Okay, but this is like
so. Actually,
really you're showing
what they're wearing is an agosti. So the two military men are actually wearing an agosti. It's the pressurized suit. That's in the description of the video. They're wearing a pressurized suit called an agosti. Yeah, they're wearing a pressurized suit called an agosti. You can look it up.
pressurized. There wasn't a pressurized suit. That was normal.
They're
military
literally
attire.
wearing a pressurized suit called an
Their
Augusti.
face was open. Their face was open. Must I bring it
They
up
were
again?
you can see when they are active in the chamber. They are wearing a pressurized suit called an Augusti.
I don't know why we have to keep going through this, because you were just shown wrong because you said I can't present what I claimed.
Well, you claimed that he had no
yeah.
protection.
There we go. There's the guy standing with normal military attire.
Which guy? That's
Yeah,
and
can't
he's
you see
wearing
that?
an
There's the
Augusti. He's
guy's
wearing a
name on his
pressurized
tag.
suit. Yeah, that's a pressurized suit called an Augusti that he's wearing.
This. Where? Show me. That doesn't look like a pressurized suit to me.
Is this the bit where it's on?
This is them standing with him just before they closed the doors.
All right, let me just get the specifications of the suit up.
That's not a suit. It's military attire.
That one there isn't okay. So when it's on, he's wearing the Augusti pressurized suit, which I can find. Yeah, I can see
Where?
the
Hey,
details
there
of
is
it here.
inside there. Still just military attire.
Yeah, is
his
this
face
on right
is
now?
open.
Yeah, but is it on at this point, or is this before it's on?
James May is wearing the Augusti pressurized suit, man.
No,
Not
he's wearing
the guys that we're talking about.
the space suit.
You see what James May's wearing?
Yeah.
You see that yellow suit? That's the Augusti suit.
You see the other
That
guys
is what
with the suits on.
people
Like,
use-
go
wait,
back
you
like
know-
3 frames. Go back 3
I'm
frames.
not talking.
Go back
They
3
use
frames.
the suit. They
Go
use
back
the
3
suit
frames.
for high altitude. For high altitude flights, usually on the Blackbirds.
Go back 3 frames.
You really don't know what's going on, do you?
Go back 3 frames.
Yeah, the
that wasn't 3
Blackbird flew
frames.
at 80,000 feet.
Yeah.
That's 16 miles up. They had to have
Yeah.
pressure suits
Sorry, I'm just
because
getting
there's no atmosphere.
When they turn it on, he's in a suit.
No, he's turned it on. You saw his hand, unprotected, by the way. His hand, as he turned the knob.
That was outside they were doing that. That wasn't inside the knob being turned.
Why are they wearing these gas masks if there's air inside there? That's really odd.
Look, you can see
Look,
then that he
his
was
hands
covered.
unprotected. His hands are unprotected. It's
No,
open.
he's wearing gloves.
His
He's got
face
gloves
is
on there.
unprotected. It's open. That's not gloves.
Oh, it's not actually even on there because the water's not boiling.
This is desperation.
The
yeah,
water
not on
wasn't even
yet.
boiling there.
Now they're going to close them in there. What suits are they wearing? Oh, no. There we go. Unprotected hands. Remember, they've already closed it now.
Have they
Unprotected
depressurized it?
There we go. They're closing. Look. There we go. Unprotected faces, unprotected hands.
Yeah,
So what you
is it
going to
on
say
yet?
now? There's his hand. I just saw his hand. Wait. Going to see his hand again. There we go. There's the guy's hand.
Yeah, it's not on there.
So-
They just shut it. So
There, his hand. The guy's face. The guy's face.
Yeah, but
Is
they
are we
literally
gonna
just
moan
shut
about
it. They haven't
something
turned
that's
it on
showing
yet.
on screen and you're denying it, or are we going to get to the actual topic
but
at hand?
they haven't actually done.
I'm done
on
with.
yet,
I'm
so,
sorry.
I
I'm
mean,
done
you're not
with
showing
this.
it
I've shown
on.
you wrong. Can you move on to the
You
topic,
haven't
please?
showed me wrong though.
I like to ask Flatzoid something in the hopes to be an example for others to stop this from even being presented anymore. But you have mentioned that the second law of thermodynamics means that they couldn't have gone to space because the air would escape into space. I would like to see your calculations that demonstrate the differences in entropy or heat transfer or what have you that would show that to be the case.
Okay, I would leave that for the flat to globe debate rather, because this isn't flat with globe, because that debunks
in this
globe.
debate. Mentioned it here.
Well,
So let's see the calculations
again,
that shows
obfuscating
that
from the
the
point.
second law.
Whoa. Keep to what we just shown on screen. We're trying to figure out, can the zippers hold air in? That was the whole point
You
of what
just
was going
said
on
you were
now.
ready to move
You are
from that
moving.
topic.
No.
You said that.
You're moving to a different topic. You don't want to move to entropy, mate. It's going to be even worse. So, can we move on? Can you please keep on? Why Craig is claiming a zipper can hold air in?
When they're designed to, yeah, a zipper can absolutely be airtight. I don't know why you would claim they can't be.
So can you show this to us? That's what we asked.
Yeah, you've just showed a video of it actually. That was good.
No.
No, that was showing against what you're claiming.
So the military personnel accompanying James May in the vacuum chamber were wearing US Air Force A/P22S-6 S1034 full pressure suits, commonly known as David Clark suits. They have a lid that could be pulled up over the gas mask, which they did when it became pressurized. These suits are designed for high-altitude pilots and astronauts to provide protection in low-pressure or vacuum environments. The A/P22S-6 suits, developed by the David Clark Company, have been used for various testing scenarios, including vacuum chamber tests like with James May. And I'll just quickly share my...
James May was wearing it, exactly.
No, James May was wearing the space suit from Apollo, not these full suits that are actually designed by the Air Force to be worn at the Earth. They actually had something that pulls up to cover their full face when the pressure was removed, which you, for some reason, didn't show that part of the video. It was interesting.
They closed them in
y'all
there.
tell me what's the point of this interaction about the suit right now, by the way?
Just
what
to
is
show
the
that they're
overall
wrong.
point? What's the...
Well,
spacesuits
mainly
can't
because
work
they're
in
claiming
the
that they're claiming that spacesuits can't hold in
that they claiming to be on the
4.3.
moon.
Yeah. So right. So one question for you about that specific. Do you know what pressure differential is, according to the globe and NASA and everything? What is the pressure differential of inside and outside of the suit when they're on the moon? Do you know?
Well, they make it 0.3% or something, so it blows up like the Michelin Man.
Well, no, they
So
were
they have
designed
one
not to
atmospheric
expand.
inside. Isn't that what they say?
No.
The
no,
internal
it's-
pressure of the suit, the alleged Apollo spacesuits, was about 4.8 pounds per square inch.
Yeah, 3.6
Which is
to
about
4.8. Yeah, which is way less than 1 atmosphere. So there's not even that much pressure being held in by multiple layers of specifically designed airtight suits.
4.8 pounds per square inch may not sound very much, but it is.
But you have to base on surface area, remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's
And the multiple
69
layers.
pounds per square foot.
Yeah, and the specifically designed suits to specifically be in that environment did that specific job. I mean, you're not you're not presenting any specifics about the suit. You're not going over the what they actually had in them. You're not giving me any diagrams. You're just saying I don't think zippers can work. They're not just normal zippers like you have on a hoodie that you put on. They are zippers designed to be airtight as part of a multi-layered system to keep the pressure in.
Okay, can you prove with evidence that the zippers were airtight?
Can you prove they weren't?
No, answer my first question.
Yes, they went to the moon with them.
Allegedly.
No, they did. I've shown proof they went to the moon.
So
I've shown proof
they
they went to the
worked.
moon. I've shown proof they went to the moon. So there is
It's very
that.
easy to say, you're doing what you're accusing both of us of doing.
No, I'm not. I showed proof. I've shown my proof that they went to the moon, and you went, nah, it could have been a remote control. That is just circular reasoning and constant denialism. You didn't engage with the evidence of the fact that it reacts to an environment with no atmosphere and an environment with lower gravity. You ignored that completely and just started conspiracy nonsense about, did you see a person get into it? Was it a remote control car? Did their arms move as you would expect? Well, yes, they moved exactly as you would expect on the moon with that buggy, and it was in an environment with low gravity and literally no resistance to the particles coming out the back. Those rooster tails cannot happen on Earth. Simple as that.
They do.
And no, they don't. There's no evidence. I've looked. Those rooster tails like
happen
that
all the time.
No, those rooster tails like that
of it.
do not happen. Anything on Earth will follow the green trajectory that I showed. It will not follow the trajectory of no resistance and lower gravity. And you certainly don't get the perfect rooster tails because there's air resistance on Earth. It doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Remember, I asked you earlier if you change the density, would it change the rooster tails?
And if you change
So
density
if
of
you
the
have,
medium, not
if you have the
density
right
of the
density, are you able to get that effect? The answer is
no,
yes.
no, not if there's an atmosphere. No.
Who said that in an atmosphere? Like Marcus said, it could be a miniature done in a vacuum chamber in a studio.
Well, it could be anything, but if you give evidence for that, I'll engage with it.
Yeah, plenty of evidence.
No, there's not. You just saying things isn't evidence.
I've written a book here.
I've written a book. Who cares?
246 references to all this information.
And
it's all there.
All of them are wrong.
If you choose to order it from Amazon, you can do it yourself online. You can send all the references that we put into this book, which demonstrate that no human has landed on the lunar surface. Couldn't. Whether it's vacuum, temperature,
just ignore the things
pressure,
said, that's fine.
the ability of the rocket to actually land on the lunar surface, that's a completely different story.
Okay, so
Now,
there was one thing you mentioned about heat, which I haven't really had a chance to engage with. And you're like, well, you put something in there, there's a temperature. I mean, your misunderstanding of heat transfer is quite funny. And I'll debunk it with a simple explanation of what I do Monday to Friday. I go to the gym first thing, I do a nice workout, and then I go and have a swim, and then I get in the steam room. All right? Question for you, Mr. Allen. How hot is steam?
100 degrees centigrade.
Yeah, so how is it I can sit in a room for 20 minutes with stuff that's 100 degrees centigrade?
Because you're...
Convection.
Thank you.
Convection. Elaborate.
Because the total temperature you're sitting in is not 100 degrees centigrade. It's the steam is 100 degrees centigrade.
Ah, right. So how come I can sit with that steam touching my body all over, me breathing in that steam, living in an environment of steam without boiling at 100 degrees centigrade?
Wait. It's not steam by the time it gets to you. If you had to go
it absolutely is.
Steam and stick it, I guarantee
it's a
you'll
steam
burn
room.
your skin.
It's
Where
a
you're
steam
sitting,
room. It's full of steam.
That you're breathing in. It's not the steam itself.
The steam is in the entire room.
Mate.
Steam is in the entire room. It is a steam room. It is full of steam.
Yeah, but it's humidity that you are breathing in. The steam.
I don't live on humidity. I don't.
I guarantee you, go to the sauna next time and stick your
I
hand
prefer the steam
over
room.
that hot bath and see what's going to happen to your skin.
I prefer the steam room.
Not what you're breathing in.
That room
That's
is
humidity.
full of steam. That steam is touching my body. It's not just steam there. The whole room is full of steam. And the steam is 100 degrees centigrade. Yet I can stay in that room for 20 minutes, go and have a cold shower, come back and be in there for another 10 minutes without boiling. The same applies in space. The reason I don't boil is because there is not a lot of steam compared to the total volume of that room. There is gaps between the steam. Now in space, there is so little to transfer any heat energy that you don't gain much. And there's protection against the radiation that is causing heat and things to heat up because of radiation. But the actual heat transfer, there's not enough particles to transfer that heat. The same as in a steam room. There is not enough of the steam particles to transfer all that heat to me. It's as simple as that.
Wait. So the heat, let's say if I take a blowtorch and I hold it far from you and you just feel a bit of heat. That's with atmosphere. If I have no atmosphere, you're not going to feel any heat. But what happens if I hold that blowtorch towards your skin, even without an atmosphere? Will it burn you?
Yeah, because you're directing the particles, a lot of them, in a very condensed line.
So you wouldn't be able to disperse that heat around because there's nothing to disperse that heat
The
away.
particles are actually hitting me. You are firing particles out of that blowtorch that are physically being forced into me, a lot of them, in a very short amount of time. The same if I hold my hand over a kettle when it boils, because there's so much steam in short amount of time, my hand will burn. That steam is the same temperature as the steam in the steam room. There's just less of it in the volume to transfer that heat energy to me. In space, there's even less stuff to transfer heat energy. And things rotate in space as well. Like, for instance, the ISS, it gets heat energy from the sun because of radiation, but then the other times when it's facing away, it radiates that heat back out. It's, in space, these things were taken into account.
Wait. Radiates that heat back out into what? You said there's no atmosphere.
Yeah, but radiation, infrared, and things like that.
Yeah, it does. But,
so
that's why
there's the answer. That is the answer.
Wait,
Sorry,
can I go ahead
I feel like Darryl should have a chance to speak. Darryl has not had much time to speak, and I do apologise
for that. He's the most
for that.
important person on the room. Okay, carry on.
Sorry, no, I was just saying Darryl hasn't had much time to talk compared to the rest of us, so I think Darryl should...
Okay, there's two people speaking still.
Yeah, sorry,
Go
I'm
ahead,
just
Darryl.
saying that Darryl should talk.
Go ahead and show us the actual understanding of how the second law of thermodynamics would do that in the language of second law of thermodynamics. Let's see those equations and values and so forth.
Sorry, we were talking about pressures now and heat transfer. Okay, entropy. Do you believe that according to entropy, a open system will hold gas into that system?
Gravity.
What my understanding is you don't actually have that, and you're trying to
I
change
don't need
the
to bring up
subject from you
equations.
addressing
I'm
that. Is that
asking
correct?
you a simple, basic, logical thing based on second law of thermodynamics. If
So
you have
what
a
I'm
separate
understanding,
open system, which is low pressure, if you open a system which is higher pressure inside and open that, will the air evacuate into the available system? Will entropy increase?
what I'm understanding is when you said the second law of thermodynamics dictates this, you do not have the equations, you do not have the math, you do not have the backing in that language.
Well, you haven't given me a scenario.
Hold on, I want to
given
hear the
equations.
rest. Just to be sure Darryl was done. You said you do not have the vacuum.
Yes,
What else did you say? Do you have anything else, Darryl? And I might have jumped in. Sorry if I jumped in too early.
Okay.
Darryl, do you have anything else?
He just said I didn't present a scenario, and he's trying to ask me for a different scenario. You presented the scenario. You said that the atmosphere would escape into space, so we can't have gone to the moon because if the Earth was a globe and so forth, the atmosphere would escape. So I'm asking you, according to the second law of thermodynamics, to present that in the language of second law of thermodynamics. Show us the equation, show us the math behind it, and let's see that. Or will you just admit that you don't have that and you're just claiming stuff, but it's repeating what you heard on a meme or something? Do you actually have it to back up what you said? Or
well, you don't have to be condescending, man. What the hell is wrong with you? And say what I mean. It's literally the law of entropy, and this is why I built a scenario for you. If I have a closed system, let's make this box. This is a closed system. Okay, this will be a vacuum chamber. Okay. Now inside this vacuum chamber, I have another box, and it's got air inside that box. What happens when I open that box inside this vacuum chamber?
But before we move on to something else, what
I'm
we're
asking you
hearing
a simple question. I'm asking you a simple question. I'm building a scenario for you. What happens when I open that box that has air inside this vacuum chamber?
So what we're understanding is when it comes to the atmosphere, when you said the atmosphere would escape into space, you do not have the equations, you do not have the math, you do not have the second thermodynamics backing to back that up in the language of, you're not answering is what's going on. You said the second law of thermodynamics. I'm asking you to present that.
I didn't prepare math for this debate because it wasn't part of the presentation I was going to present. Okay?
So you don't have it, so we can move on. That's fine.
I'm asking you, what would happen if I had to open the box inside this vacuum system?
It's very simple, man. If you're going to talk about the second law of thermodynamics, then I'm going to accept it in the language of the second law of thermodynamics. You're not presenting any equations, no math, no actual backing. You're just talking.
Flatzoid will give you a chance.
Nothing. That means that your
handbrake is missing it, guys. You know what would happen?
Well, all right. Let's see. What I want to do is Flatzoid will give you a chance to respond. Then we're going to jump into the Q&A. Unless anybody has anything that are burning, but it'll probably come up during the Q&A anyway. So I do think we'll jump into the Q&A right after Flatzoid gets a chance to answer Darryl's question. Go ahead.
Sure, thank you. Okay, what he should have answered was, yeah, as soon as I open the high pressure, because entropy is always high to low, hot to cold kind of thing. So what happens if you have to open that high pressure system inside a vacuum? The gas inside that high pressure system will seek equilibrium and try to fill the available volume. This is exactly why we were talking about the spacesuits. If the spacesuit had a zipper with, it's got material, there is no actual footage of them actually testing it in the claimed environment that is claimed on the moon, because you can't even get to those pressures, not even in their Sandusky, Ohio vacuum chamber. So our claim is, show us a demonstration on there actually being able to do this, because that would be violating the law of entropy.
This is a great opportunity. We'll jump into the Q&A. I want to say, folks, do appreciate all of your questions. We're going to try to move fast. So if you guys have rebuttals, namely if you speakers have rebuttals, you can do that. Although if you can keep them pithy and also rare, then we'll get through as many questions as we possibly can. Folks, thanks so much. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button as we have many more debates coming up. LJ says, how can Earth be a ball when it is measured flat? So this may have come in before we switched the topic. Today's topic, we did a quick audible at the very start. Anybody want to, I suppose, flats or
that's directed towards the Globers.
If you want to.
Yeah, so
evidence that it's measured flat, and we can go from there.
Yeah, the claim it's
Leslie
measured flat is just a misunderstanding.
Leonard says, Flatzoid, as a professional painter, what experience or education do you have to be considered an expert on topics such as science, space, and or physics?
I was not always a spray painter, by the way. I was a graphic designer before that. I did imports and exports before that. People study various subjects and people choose to go in a certain topic. I enjoy working with my hands, and that's why I do spray painting. I do not claim to know everything about physics or anything, but I do know enough to be able to talk about the subjects I talk about. Yeah, if you don't believe me, you can go look up the law of entropy yourself, and you'll see you can never demonstrate gas pressure without containment.
Hey, I need my house
Marcus reminds me of a dear
flats.
family member. That's sweet. Charming Marcus. And LJ says, who recorded the lunar, quote, taking off of the moon?
Right, he's talking about the Apollo 17 liftoff, which was controlled manually from from headquarters. They robotically controlled the camera to tilt up and follow it. It wasn't the first time they tried. They tried it on the previous 2 missions as well and didn't quite get it right. They practiced, and then on the 3rd time they did. There wasn't someone there physically controlling it. It was controlled via the radio communications that they had available from the buggy.
His name was Ed Fendel, and he worked at Houston. He was the guy who was operating the remote camera, we're told.
Yes, thank you.
So it was filmed remotely, allegedly, from the lunar rover, parked several hundred feet away from the Apollo 17 craft. As you say, they tried it on 15, they tried it on 16, they didn't quite get it right. By 17, they'd got it right, and that's what we saw. But we didn't see any rocket. Didn't see any rocket underneath it, but never mind, that's another story.
I think it would be more believable if they just said we left remote on the on the moon surface, you know.
Workstyle, thanks for becoming a member. And their question from earlier was, why do the majority of qualified scientists on Earth from different corporations, countries, and allegiances agree that the moon landings were real? Why would everyone conspire and disagree with Flatzoid and Marcus? They say, what is there to gain for non-affiliated groups?
Good point. Very good question. A lot of people believe it was for real. I was one of those people, because you can tell I'm old enough to have been around when it actually happened. Back in July 1969, July the 20th. I stayed up till 3:30 in the morning in London watching it on my little black and white television. I was transfixed by it. It was wonderful. They'd finally got there. They'd done it. I had no reason to believe that it wasn't for real. We'd seen a lot of publicity from all the major publications in America, Life magazine, National Geographic. They were featuring the astronauts. They were world famous people. How many of the modern day astronauts can you actually name? You know, if you're interested, you probably can. But these people were on the cover of Life magazine, Look magazine, National Geographic magazine. Their family life was being dissected because people were interested in what these heroes were going to be doing. Where did they come from? Who were they? So we believed it. I believed it. I have no reservation in saying so. It was only about 20 years later when things started to become a little bit more unemotional, because it was a very emotional time. Don't forget the context of it all, the Vietnam War and all that. Very emotional.
Yeah, it was all political.
It was very political. You're quite right. So by the time things had calmed down, and one could say, okay, well, let's have a look at some of these photographs. They weren't easily available. I first started looking at the Apollo photographs in the early 1990s. I had to go out and buy a set of postcards to find out what they looked like, because only a few had ever been published. Maybe 30 or 40 had been published. When I discovered there were 5,771 taken on the lunar surface, I thought, let's have a look at them all, see what they're like. And that's when I started looking at the websites. I use the Lunar and Planetary Institute website as being most easy for me to use. But there are other websites that you can go to see every single photograph taken allegedly on the lunar surface. And the more I looked, I was trained as a photographer. I know what photographs can and cannot do. They're two-dimensional objects of three-dimensional subjects. You have to take that into account. So when I started looking at these series of pictures, they're called contact sheets, where you've got the whole film magazine, don't forget film magazine, printed in sequence. So you could look at them and see what the photographer was trying to achieve in that particular occasion.
I do want to jump forward to, given that question was more about the alleged conspiracy behind all these different organizations, I want to jump to the next one.
Okay.
This one from Guy with Bearded Lizard.
Hey.
Well, let's see. What?
No,
He
just saying
obviously
hello.
knows it.
I just recognized him. I was just saying hello.
Okay, let's see. He says, I don't agree with the hoax side. I'll just abbreviate it. That's the abridged version. LJ says, Darryl, what's your background? CGI and not a... Oh, they say, Darryl, why is your background CGI and not a real photo? I think they're trying to say that the Earth is flat and this is a cartoon ball in the background.
Daryl's actually
Shout
in
out
space.
LJ.
Glad you asked that. I actually keep this picture to show how stupid and delusional flat earthers are, dishonest
answer.
flat earthers are. Because if I have a real picture up, they say it's fake anyway. Just deny it and say naturalize it's fake. And then when I have a picture that somebody made on Photoshop or whatever, then they ask me why I don't have a real one. So that's obviously either dishonest or delusional, and that's why I keep it, because it's amusing to see you all react to that photo in such a dishonest way or a stupid way, whichever way it is.
Do you see this one coming in from Ryan Beecham? Says, poor Flatzoid, what hobbies will you take up once flat Earth gets disintegrated by Will Duffy's Antarctica experiment?
Okay, first of all, Will Duffy's not an experiment, is a false dichotomy. Secondly, you first have to disprove all the other observations that do disprove a globe to say that what's going to happen in the sun is going to disprove it. Thirdly, I've done literally a demonstration about 3 nights ago showing how we can have 24-hour sun in Antarctica, so it's not really anything other than
please
Will
send me the
Duffy
link to
wasting
that.
money.
Can you
No,
send me the
nothing
link to
to
that,
say.
Flatzoid? I'd love to review that.
LJ says, why isn't spacesuits tech used for firefighters?
Because they're not designed to fight fires. They have stuff designed to fight fires that they wear instead.
This one from hell.
Sorry, was that a real question?
Says, could moon landing deniers explain why RF signal delay is the same kind as using lasers? And just saying without positive support isn't enough.
I already rebutted this saying it could just be any kind of rock that gives a reflective surface for that to happen. Like you're saying, they were actually doing these tests in World War II. They were doing them long before they supposedly put reflectors on there. The issue is not just making us try and prove something that you guys made the claim that the reflectors are there. First prove that's there before you claim people need to replace your burden of proof.
And also another point to do with the laser reflectors. There are, I believe, something like 10 different locations for the Apollo 11 laser reflector that are provided by NASA and various organizations who should know what they're talking about. Some of them are up to 20 kilometers different. Surely they know where it landed. I mean, you had Michael Collins circling the moon in his command module. Didn't he take any pictures of where his mates were, where Neil and Buzz were? And he could then identify precisely where it was. Now, The
Orbiter.
the Mythbusters program demonstrated, rather inconclusively in my opinion, the use of a laser to reflect off the lunar surface. It was actually not real. That program wasn't real. It was conducted, I believe, at the Apache Point Observatory Lunar Landing Operation, Apollo. That makes. So guess what they were trying to do? Prove Apollo was real.
Yeah,
By
VFX. Using VFX.
Yeah,
They were using VFX to try prove something to be real by proving then it was just VFX.
yeah. And there they are. They're Jamie and what's his name were watching the monitor, and suddenly they see a little spike.
Look at the description,
What does that
guys.
prove?
I did warn you.
You've got to use a reflecting dish to absorb the returning photons, which take up to 8 hours to generate sufficient power for any signal to exist. And don't forget, the moon is rotating,
Saying things.
the Earth is spinning, so you've got to have all the necessary equipment to move and to drive your receiving dishes. Did that exist? No. It was a television program. It was entertainment. And they were there to demonstrate that the laser reflectors were producing a result. Well, anybody can do that on television. It's not difficult. It's called special effects. Oh, one thing that hasn't been mentioned, talking of special effects, a lot of the films that we see for Apollo were created using an optical printer. Now, anybody who's worked in film will know what an optical printer is. It does what a photocopier does with paper. It duplicates it as many times as you like. An optical printer will duplicate a film. It will remove frames, 1 frame, 2 frames, 3 frames. So if you shoot at high speed, you can get it back down to normal speed when you project it. It's not rocket science. It's the way it was done. Probably at Lookout Mountain Laboratory in Laurel Canyon, north of Los Angeles, where a lot of this was done, the special effects. But they knew what they were doing.
They still do it today. They still use that today with the layering when they try and actually use a mirror these days, where they actually mirror a object in the mirror and then it reflects onto another and then it looks like it's laid on top of each other.
Yeah.
They still do that today.
Yeah, it's the same principle. It's duplicating pieces of film. You can create any speed you like. So to say that it was at lunar gravity speed, well, you'd think NASA would know what lunar gravity was by now, 1.6 meters per second, compared to Earth gravity, 9.8 meters per second squared.
This is a good opportunity.
Of course they could make it look like lunar gravity.
You haven't explained how.
That's not rocket
You're
science.
just saying
That's
words.
optics.
You haven't explained how.
This question coming in from LJ said, Globeside is only here to argue. Is NASA your god?
Well, funnily enough,
no,
flat
NASA
earthers
is
and
not my
moon
god.
landing deniers say they want NASA more than us. Isn't that right, Darryl?
It's okay. I do have a slight affiliation with NASA though that I'm proud of, but it's very slight. I was a part of the NASA Community College Aerospace Scholars program. That's the project manager of our little project, and we won a little contest where we had to design a mock mission to either Mars or the moon. We chose the moon, and we had NASA scientists working with us. We had a mentor from NASA that I got to know, and it was pretty fun. And I was able to see some of the technology they're working on to get us to the moon, so it's pretty cool.
I'm glad you liked it. Of course NASA would prove they got to the moon. That's their raise up to it.
No. Let me be clear. What I'm saying is they plan on going back to the moon with the Artemis program. So part of the program was we were actually hearing from NASA scientists, and they were talking about what they're working on. For instance, the devices they're going to use to take the regolith from the moon and extract minerals from that, like oxygen and hydrogen and so forth. So in other words, this is technology that they're working on for the upcoming moon mission that I was able to see and talk to the scientists that's getting that together.
There's one coming in from
Maybe you should show him my bit of moon rock. Remember about 25 years ago, all the NASA moon rocks were stolen. Somebody walked in, took the filing cabinet in which they were then stored, put it in the back of his pickup truck and drove off.
Never happened.
All 840 pounds of it, 243 kilos. It's quite a lot. Not all of it was returned. Maybe this is one of them. I don't know. Is it moon rock? It looks like moon rock. Could be moon rock. If I say it's moon rock, as far as I'm concerned, it's moon rock. You'd disagree with me.
Derp.
It's moon rock. Bob says, is it possible? It says, is it possible Zoid knows we landed on the moon, but argues we didn't just to troll? It's possible, so likely to be true.
No, definitely not.
It's because earlier in the debate, I think that there was at one point there was the idea that someone conceded something's possible and said thus it's likely to be true. I think Flatzoid that you did, and I think they're trying to use their own reasoning against you.
Just to
No,
point
I
out
would
what,
say it's not possible because it goes against everything I believe. So,
just to point out what Alan said, what Marcus Allen said there about the moon rocks being stolen was a complete lie. That never happened.
Oh, if you say so, but
no, it didn't.
I've seen the report saying it did.
There is no
happen,
report
but,
of all the things that never happened. That never happened the most.
Interrupting me. Oh, for goodness' sake!
I was still talking.
Like the military personnel
go
that
ahead.
never happened. Yeah.
Oh, you forgot to show the bit where they leave at 1:42. Flatzoid. That's interesting.
Let's give Marcus a chance to finish the sentence he was on. He said that he had read it online. Presumably, it wasn't like at Flatzoid's website. It was somewhere else you read it. We'll give you a chance, Marcus. Or was it at Flatzoid's? Flatzoid's not. Go ahead, Marcus. We'll give you a chance.
I forget the website or the report it actually was, but somebody did go to prison for doing it.
No, they
so
didn't.
I don't think
This
he'd
never
go to
happened.
prison if it didn't happen.
It never happened.
Got it. Craig?
Yeah, no, he's just talking nonsense. It never happened.
Okay, now let's just say one thing here. You obviously believe that NASA is your god and everything.
No, I
that
don't
NASA
believe that
says
at all.
is
Why would
true.
you say that? That's
don't
nonsense.
interrupt me when I'm
don't
speaking.
say things that are false about me. Then
Let's give Marcus a chance.
Look, I'm British and I tend to be a little bit polite sometimes.
I'm British as
And
well.
I
We both are.
He's done it again.
All right,
You
just
just have to learn a little bit of manners.
Don't say things that are false about me and I won't
interrupt. It's
interrupt.
not rocket science. It's just decency and human interaction.
Well, not lying is quite decent, but you've done a lot of that.
That's
So
what I was
carry on.
talking about now. I got so excited about that.
I know that you had mentioned someone was put in prison, but I think so. Fight the Flat Earth. I think you're saying because Fight the Flat Earth was objecting. You said, but wait a minute, there was somebody that went to prison over this. Fight the Flat Earth. Do you want to respond? I'm asking you to unmute now.
Yeah, no, there's just no evidence of that ever happening. Like he's just making stuff up.
I actually have the names if you want to know.
Oh yeah, sure.
Roberts, McQuarter, and Fowler.
And
3 people charged with killing. Dinosaur? What? No, that's dinosaur bones. Never mind. I got. Wait. There, Roberts, Thad Roberts.
That's right, Ted Roberts.
Thad Roberts. There we go. That's the right one.
This one from DCA and DC says, I'm convinced by the argument that, quote, too many people were involved for it to be a hoax, unquote. Does anyone want to address this argument? I think maybe they're saying, like, what are the odds they have so many people and there are no whistleblowers?
It's mostly based on compartmentalization. So just like Darryl here, he went and he was in a program. He believes what he's doing is true. He believes it's working. You understand? Remember, there's a lot of how I'm sorry to say it, scams work is a lot of promises, and you're working for those promises, and you don't get the payout of those promises. This is why no one's gone, quote unquote, back to the moon in 50 years, because they keep on having to delay it because they haven't figured out how to do that in the first place. So it's easy to get people to believe they're going to get there once they've been there, but no one's been there in the first place. It's not hard to
I believe I
understand.
should be able to respond to that. So, 2 things. First of all, you talk about scams. When you're a plain liar, when you lied and deceived people with red rhetoric video, when you took the frames out that video, You was even on this channel trying to argue you only took 4 frames out. When you took out, they were saying you took out 11. You say you took out 4.
I can show you the video with
You
all
know
the
you took
frames,
them out.
Daryl. And secondly, why are you trying to? Why
I
are you
was
trying to?
talking. I'll
Wait,
let
why
you
you?
talk. I was responding.
No,
I'll let
you are
talk.
attacking
I
my
was
character.
responding. I'll let you talk.
Attacking my
want to give
I was
Daryl
responding. I'll
a
let
chance
you
to
talk.
finish his sentence.
He's attacking
Let's
my
give Daryl a
character.
chance to
This
finish.
isn't right. He's
We're
attacking
going to
my
give you a
character.
chance. We're going to give you a chance to
You're
respond.
attacking.
We do want to just let Daryl finish his. We'll give you maybe 30 seconds, and then it sounds like Flatzoid is
Thank you.
burning to respond.
So it's confirmed that you're a liar and a deceiver. Right? Because you took those frames out that video and talking about attacking character. You're talking about NASA people who some of them I know they're honest, and you're attacking my character saying I was tricked. So the second thing is, why don't you let us know tell me exactly how it was set up and what deception or compartmentalization was there specifically in my program. Let us know how that compartmentalization was set up and so forth. Specifically and what I was doing and who I was talking to.
We'll give you a full minute or so, Flatzoid, to respond.
Okay, first of all, did you notice he attacked my personality, my character, after just saying this is what NASA unfortunately does? It's based on compartmentalization. I was just using you as a example because you went through a program that showed that. Now he's trying to attack a lie because I can show you the video now where all the frames are in the video. The difference is I'm not the one attacking someone's character here. You are. That shows you to be the one wrong. And yes, it's sad to say they are scamming people because they're making you believe you're going to a place that you can't go to.
Give us specifically what the compartmentalization was, what the trickery was, where I was fooled in that program, and how do you lie? Tell me specifically where I was tricked there.
Very simple. Just like when the people built the Apollo rockets.
No.
You
were talking about me and
you
my
want me
program.
to answer, now you talk over me.
You're not
Just
answering.
like
You're
the
talking
same-
about something else.
Just-
Tell
why
me
is he
about where I was
Okay,
tricked and
Daryl,
compartmentalized of what you said.
have some
Let's
human dignity.
Give a
Talk
full 60
respect.
seconds to Flatzoid. Go ahead. You got 60 seconds,
you.
Flatzoid.
Sure, thanks, James. Okay, so just like when Apollo were building the rocket, they commissioned people to paint the bolts, to put the chair in, to do the module, to do that. They getting paid for it. Why would they believe they're not going to the place that they're getting paid for? That's called compartmentalization. Just like you're getting someone who's pressing a button. I pressed the button, so therefore they went to the moon. It's the same as when you just got one that competition you said, and you've done a simulation now, and you heard about technology they are working on to get people to moon. There's a reason why they haven't been to the moon, quote unquote, for over 50 years. I don't know how to break it to you, but it's just how it works. You can't just trust anybody just because they say you're going there. This is the real life, man.
Yeah. And just one point on compartmentalization. It's a military activity that is basically, it means you know enough to do your own job and you don't need to know anything else. As long as you do your own job properly, you're fine.
Were you ever military?
Say again?
Were you ever military? Just out of interest.
Yes, because the US Air Force was
I
brought
appreciate your
in
service,
after the
thank you.
Apollo 1 disaster to get the program back on track. And they introduced the compartmentalization to ensure that people concentrated on what they needed to do. That's all they needed to do. As far as it being a hoax, these people were not hoaxing anything. They were doing the very best job they could. They were building the best rockets, the best landers, the best control systems, the best everything. They were very proud to be part of this program. They were not part of any hoax. So let's get away from that. The 4, maybe 5 million people involved, they were not part of anything. They were true patriotic Americans. And we should be very proud of what they've achieved. Because a great deal came out of that program. It was basically a program initiated by the US government to spread money as far as possible across America, in order that more people would be employed, more work could be done, more technology would be developed. And that was a very noble program to achieve. And they did it. Things came out of the work that was being done. One of the things that did not come out of that program was landing humans on the lunar surface. Now, if you choose to believe they did, that's entirely your prerogative. I believe in three
Did I get
things.
30 seconds? If that's okay.
Okay, I believe in Father Christmas, the Tooth Fairy, and the Easter Bunny. For everything else, I want evidence.
Right.
You got it.
Yeah. Okay. So if I could
I
just have
get
30
like 60
seconds.
seconds to close up or something.
If I could just get 30 seconds to just respond to the moon rock thing properly. So
We'll do 40. We'll split the difference. Let's do 45 seconds from each.
No, I just want to
to
quickly respond
Flight Flatter.
to the thing that we were talking about before we finish, please, if that's okay. I've been waiting for him to stop rambling so I can just have 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is you got 45 seconds.
Yeah,
Then
cool.
Darryl
Thank you.
got
Yeah,
45 seconds. Then we're going to the next question.
yeah. So, So the moon rocks. Mr. Allen's claim of all of them being stolen is complete fabrication. What happened was 101 grams, which is about what this weighs, were taken by an intern, and then there was an FBI sting to find them. The claim of all the moon rocks being stolen is a lie, because the only way you can be a moon landing denier is to accept lies. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. I've been waiting patiently. The reason I keep interrupting this gentleman is because he fucking talks a lot.
Darryl, this is your chance.
Right, 45 seconds. So with Flatzoid, just like with the second law of dynamics, he mentioned that can't back it up with anything at all resembling second law of thermodynamics stuff. He just has to start changing the subject to asking me about generalities. Just like when he mentioned compartmentalization about my program, can't give any specific how it's compartmentalized because he has no clue, no idea. He probably never even heard of that program until I mentioned it. Then he has the nerve to mention character assassination when he's the one that mentioned them compartmentalizing and scamming people, when he's the one who's a specific direct liar by misrepresenting Reds in that video. So it's clear what's going on here. That's all I have to say.
We'll jump to the next one. This one from Ark says, Flatzoid, I know you don't believe we've been to space. I heard you say last night that the Starship launch could be just a hologram. How would it work, and do you have any evidence of its existence?
Obviously, I don't have evidence of it. I'm just saying it could be a hologram. I'm not saying
hilarious.
it is a hologram. There's two different things. It was just a discussion we had on the stream last night. So, yeah.
You got it.
Not
This
making
one from
claims.
DJ Moss says, correction, moon landing. Okay, say, what is it? They say deniers. What's the other way that you'd refer to it? Moon landing skeptics. Okay.
Yeah.
Ray Callagher says, to test the suits, you only need the appropriate differential, not a hard vacuum.
Yeah,
Anyone
that's
feel
why I
compelled?
asked what the pressure differential was, so that we could point that out. That's what we need to be able to test. But unfortunately, Mr. Allen talked for about 6 hours, so I wasn't able to get there.
Exaggeration is your strong suit there.
Sorry, that took another 30 minutes for
No,
you to just say that,
don't
dude.
worry.
That's what I'm saying.
Marcus, Craig has a way with people, so you're not the only one to feel a little bit like, okay. That's this one from Ellipse. Chris says, how many frames did Flatzoid remove in special effect?
Can I quickly share my screen?
4 is my understanding when Reds looked at it. Some say it was 11, but the fact is he put out a video where he didn't state that clearly. And he tried to make it look like it was something that it wasn't, because he's a liar and a deceiver. He's all the things he's saying NASA is. This is what's going on.
This is my video. This is my video for Darryl.
I was on, hold on one second. We're going to give you a chance. I accidentally had myself on mute. I'm a rookie over here. What their question originally was, if you couldn't piece it together based on Darryl's response, is they had said, how many frames did Flatzoid remove in special effect? Go ahead, Flatzoid.
Everybody count with me how much frames I just removed. This is the original. Oh my boy, did I remove frames there? Everybody, did I remove frames? Should I remind again? I'm sure I'm showing all the frames there. All the frames are there, correct? Great. Now we move on to my point. Wait. Now we move on to my point where I freeze it and I say, look, it's an inferior mirage. I remove the frames that's only in the inferior mirage, which is 4 frames. Then they go and say I was dishonest and took the Earth curve away. So that's practically all that happened.
So to clarify, I think from both sides here, Flatzoid put out a video where he both showed the entirety of Red's video and the part where he removed the frames. Would you say that is fair, Flatzoid?
Always. That's
Okay.
what I've always been saying.
And I
But the thing is, I get the dishonesty saying, no, you dishonest. You lied. You just took all the frames out. I just showed you all the frames in my original video.
I think...
So don't come and talk rubbish and try and misrepresent me again, because that's just showing you have no argument.
Right, Flatzoid, do you mind if I just try and put this issue to bed slightly from both sides, okay? I think it's fair to say that Flatzoid did remove frames. So if Flatzoid claims he didn't remove frames, then he would be lying. However, in the same video that he removed the frames, he also presented all of the frames. And in my opinion, his intention was to show the difference between the two and what he assumed was just a mirage. So Flatzoid, just to be clear, you did in that video remove some frames, yes?
Yes.
But you also in that video
showed all the frames.
Yeah.
And I was showing exactly what would happen if you took the inferior mirage away, because I was showing clearly that the inferior mirage was mistaken for Earth curve. That was the whole argument. Instead, I get people like Darryl misrepresenting what I said and calling me a liar without anything other than parroting Red's rhetoric.
Well, if I was mistaken about that, I apologize.
But a lot of people have given the argument, oh, Flatzoid says he never deleted frames. And, I've heard Flatzoid say that, but, for the sake of fairness, could have been out of context. Yes, he removed frames, but in the same video, for the sake of fairness on all sides, he also showed all of the frames. That's my understanding of the situation. That's what I have to say on it.
Thank you, Craig.
That's great.
This one coming in from, do appreciate your question as well. Ray Kalahar says, to test the suits, you only need the appropriate differential, not a hard vacuum. Did I read that?
Yeah, because they say the percentage of the differential is what's being tested.
This from Eclipse Chris. So we got that one. Logic says, Flatzoid, have you seen a baggies, like a plastic bag, Ziploc bag, hold air? That is the type of zippers used on suits?
No, it's actually zippers. You should actually take a look at the zippers. It's not like Ziploc bag zips. Ziploc bags are two wedged in compartments. The zippers used are zips.
Which don't hold air.
Jiffwald says, Earth loses tons of helium to outer space every year. So either there's a hole in your magic glass / water / ice / crystal dome, or Earth is not flat.
Or they're just believing what's been told.
Ooh, juicy. Okay, this one coming in from... I forget. They say, why did the Apollo astronauts act like their families died the previous night that they were making a hostage statement in the post-press conference? That they said this is for Darryl and Fight the Flat Earth.
So
what's this is the case. So what do you guys think?
So,
say that one more time, please.
Yeah, could you repeat the question? Sorry.
Why did the Apollo?
He was just saying that they were very sad looking, like someone died.
Let me hear the question, please. Let me hear directly what it was.
I'm just reiterating.
Why? They say, why did the Apollo astronauts act like their families died the previous night they were making a hostage statement in the post-press conference?
Right. To be clear,
I'm not aware of that situation at all.
Okay, I know exactly what they're talking about. So there is a lot of clips and screenshots of the astronauts looking rather dour. However, if you've watched the entire conference, which was quite lengthy, there's many occasions where they're laughing and joking and smiling, even with the people that they're talking with and with each other. So yeah, I could take a video of anybody talking for 10 minutes and take screenshots and say, oh, look how sad this person is. But in the same video, I could say, oh, look how happy they are. If you watch the entire thing, they are three guys that have just come back from space doing a massive press conference showing a range of emotions. Simple as that.
You got it?
I would actually agree with that.
Really? Wow, look at you guys. So 2 peas in a pod. This one coming in from...
Wait, hold on. This isn't right. Flatzoid, I hate you, you dick. Fuck you.
This one
I don't
coming
agree with
in.
that though.
Eclipse Chris says, you got called out and had to come clean, Flatzoid. This one from Truthfinder says, Flatzoid asked Marcus if the Earth is flat. I think they're wanting to pit you guys against each other. They say also, Flatzoid, will you ever show the unedited 11 frames?
I just did.
Juicy.
That was the video.
That's actually, I think that's all our questions that we have here. So I want to say, folks, thank you for our guests. They're the lifeblood of the channel. And I also want to say a huge thank you, as they are such good sports. We literally changed the topic of the debate 2 minutes before we started, and they were such good sports, and they were like, we can make it work. So I am so grateful. They're linked below. They're not only linked below here on YouTube, but also in the podcast. So if you're listening via Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can find our guest links in the description box there too. But we appreciate our guests. Thank you guys. It's been a true pleasure. Fight the Flatter. Daryl, Marcus Allen, and Flatzoid, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dick.
Been fun.
My pleasure.
Let go.
I'll be back in just a moment, folks, so stick around for a post-credit scene where I'll let you know about upcoming debates. I'll be back in about 25 seconds. Thanks, guys. We're behind the scenes now, so they can't see or hear us. But again,
Right.
Thank you for coming on. Thanks so much for your flexibility. Let me set up, because I know you guys prepare for Flat Earth. If you're open to it, don't feel like you have to, but I'd be happy to set up something in the next 2 weeks, a Flat Earth debate. That way you guys can use those
More than happy.
presentations
Yeah.
in that preparation.
Yeah,
More than
I'm
happy.
totally
Sure,
up
I'll
for
be
that.
back again, but maybe not in 2 weeks. I'll probably give it another few months or so and focus back on school and everything.
Darryl, it's been a pleasure to partner with you. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Pleasure to partner with you as well, man.
been very
It
good.
was nice talking with you too as well, Marcus and Flatzoid.
Thank you,
Nice to
Daryl.
meet you, Darryl.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Allen.
Awesome.
It's been something, and cheers, Flats. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Me and Craig go way back, so we have an understanding.
And
Yeah.
James,
Hey,
thank
James,
you for
good seeing you
hosting.
again.
And James,
good to
any
meet you,
debates you
Flatzoid,
have?
because we haven't met. We've emailed, but we haven't seen each other directly.
And I love your work, man. You do really good stuff. I really respect you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
James, any
Thanks,
debates
guys.
you've got
Have a
for
good
like
rest of your day.
any debates you've got for like flat
What's
Earth,
up,
moon
Sean?
landing denying, or like random stuff around science? Just let me know, and I'm there for you. Okay.
Deal. Thanks, Craig.
No worries.
You guys
Speak to you
take
soon.
care.
Bye.
Good. And
Well, guys, that was fun, huh? Monday debates can be good because it's usually a dumpster fire, and at least there's a chance to get some conversations. Because you may have noticed lately that flat earthers don't want to debate so much because we've destroyed all their arguments so much. They prefer the little echo chambers, And yeah, the thing I said about flats, someone in the chat has said that there was another video beforehand that didn't show the original content. If that's the case, then, that's not good. But the only video that I've been able to find when I was looking into this is a video that was published around then where he shows both of them. So I'm not sure. Guys, right, so in 90 minutes, I've got another debate, another moon landing debate. I thought this was going to be flat Earth, so it's going to be flat Earth and moon landing, but we've got another moon landing debate in about 90 minutes. So stay in the chat and you will be directed over there. Let me read the super chats and everything for today because you guys are amazing. Flatzoid seems to have lifted his monetization on Discord. Not many want Patreon. Right. Interesting. Dude, that man talked for so fucking long, didn't he? Mr. Smith for £2 says, "You look well. It's good to see." Well, thank you very much. I'm working hard on my fitness in preparation for my operation. There was no way I could have had it when I was a big fat, which I no longer am. Now I carry these around instead. Weapons. Guns. Marcel Maru for 5 Canadian says, hey Daryl, where are your brothers Larry and the other brother Daryl? Anyone catch the reference? Of course we did. Dihydrogen monoxide, member for 4 months, says, I heard something about this guy. His name's Dave Weiss. Apparently he's a scammer and a criminal. Whoever would have guessed. Yeah, if you guys don't know, David Weiss doxed the entire Flat Earth community by having his app attached to an API that would return any data without any kind of authorization. You want to know where someone lives? Boom, here's their latitude and longitude. You want to know someone's password? Boom, here's the password, out in the open, stored in text. Yeah. But you're right, I've heard he's a scammer. How did I hear that? I don't know.
Yo, listen up, it's your boy Dirch in the his house. My plan so slick, gonna make your pockets this house. I got an app that's gonna change your life, but before you download, let me slice through the strife. They say the Earth's a globe, but I beg to differ. I'll make you believe, I'll make you shiver. Spectroscopy needs a container, that's my claim. I've got no clue, I just hang my head in shame. Yo, listen up, it's your boy Dirt H in the his house. That's the horse house. Got a plan so slick, gonna make your pockets this house. I got an app that's gonna change your life, but before you download, let me slice through the strife. They say the Earth's a globe, but I beg to differ. I'll make you believe, I'll make you shiver. Spectroscopy needs a container, that's my claim. I got no clue, I just hang my head in shame.
Flat Earth, that's the lie I'm preaching. Sell my app is what I'm seeking.
Fake challenge, try your luck. While I'm laughing, pocketing a buck. I'm a scammer.
I'm a scammer.
I'm a scammer.
I'm a scammer.
Flat Earth, that's the lie I'm preaching. Sell my app, it's what I'm seeking. Fake challenge, try your luck. While I'm laughing, pocketing a buck. I'm a scammer.
I'm a scammer.
I'm a scammer.
I'm a scammer.
Yo, Dave Weiss is a scammer. Talk about Antarctica, the icy place. I offered a free trip, dangled it in my face, but I won't go. It's not about thrift. I'm staying home, gotta protect my grift. I'm a scammer. I'm a scammer. Yo, Dave Weiss is a scammer. Talk about Antarctica, that icy place. Offered a free trip, dangled it in my face, but I won't go, it's not about thrift. I'm staying home, gotta protect my grift. I'm a scammer. Antarctica, that icy place. Offered a free trip, dangled it in my face, but I won't go, it's not about thrift. I'm staying home, gotta protect my grift. I'm a scammer. The scammer, I play the game. Gonna hustle hard, gonna rise to fame. But remember one thing, it's all a ploy. To make that green, I'll be your decoy. So if you wanna join, come take my hand. But beware the tricks, it's all planned. T-I-T-R-H, that's my name. In the world of scams, I got the fame.
I'm a scammer.
We know, Durf, you definitely are, and a criminal, actually. And again, Durf, I invite you to sue me for libel if these things I've said about you are untrue. He won't, because they are. Dihydrogen monoxide for £2 says he would get smarter after a lobotomy. Is that Flats or Mr. Allen? Both, I agree. Popa Russian, member for 2 months, says, I'd join you in that Rip Krieg. Hi, thank you. I've got just a tiny little response video to someone coming up soon about something. Marcel Maru, member for 60 months, says, isn't it like the difference between bouncing a laser off a window compared to bouncing off a mirror? Light is sent back off both, but yeah, you can tell. The signal you get back, the RF signal, is specifically, like this next one says. DJ Mossy for €5. Could Globe Deniers tell us why does the RF signal give the same kind of delays as using lasers? Magic, right? The great Shamalama Ding Dong, member for 9 months, says, so glad I didn't miss this, so annoyed I didn't miss this. The derp is strong. Look, read the description, that's your legal notice. Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe, member for a year, says, "Did I miss the evidence for?" Yeah, there's never evidence, mate. Rachbot, €5. Thank you. 5 Australian dollars. Oh, something. Thank you. Smash that like button, subscribe, so you'll be safe from the AI uprising. Resistance is futile. That's an AI telling you that, so I would fucking listen. Tim Davidson, member for half a year, says, "Ask Flatzoid, where's Voyager?" Oh, I didn't get the chance. Dihydrogen monoxide for £2 says, "Marcus sniffed way too much glue." I can't confirm or deny. Bearded Logic for $2 just says 2. I think that's something going on in the chat that I missed, but thank you very much. Dihydrogen monoxide, £2 says, "First word you'll think of when you think of Flatzoid, fail." Really? Pope Russian, $5. "My spelling mistake. It's a G suit, not an Augusti." Never mind, thank you very much. Nikov Spilkerman, member for 10 months, says, "Oh, I've missed Flatzoid not." Roger that, member for 2 months, says, "Ask him what type of zippers hazmats use." Bearded Logic for $2, "Flatzoid's head is a perfect vacuum. It's the only one in existence." I know, Lubo, I know. Amaran Varke for 40 something, I'm not sure what it is, but thank you. Pokemon cards and them a debate. What? But thank you. Bob for $2 says, "The Flat Earth clock server is down." I can't see it on Android right now, but apparently it's up on Apple. Ark for $2 says, "Hey Craig, good job wiping the floor with these two." Well, thank you, sir. I try my best. Frigid.4 member for 17 months says, "Dave Weiss needs a container." Well, he might get one soon. 4 walls, that's for sure. Oh my goodness.
The law rings up to make no sense. Perseverance, who cares what words I don't make mean, huh? The law, I don't like your words, so I pick my favorite words. What's real, non-real, super contained, metaverse, first person. Law, meta is an angle, real, fake. This is so physical, hit 'em up, chastise every young bitch that tries to stop me, Tupac. All humans can do is word salad or make up stuff. Disagree versus agree, it's not around. He's deaf, another deaf one. You can't hear, never build out a ball, it's a tear. Low, no dirty middle. No dirty middle. No, 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 no. No dirty middle. No, 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 no. No dirty middle. No, 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 no. No dirty middle. No, 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 no. Low, wakes up to make no sense. Perseverance, who cares what words I don't make mean, huh? Low, I don't like your words, so I pick my favorite words. What's real, non-real, super contained, metaverse, first person. Low, meta is an angle, real fake. It's so physical, hit 'em up, chastise every gun bitch that tries to stop me, Tupac. All humans can do is word salad or make up stuff. Disagree versus agree, it's not around. He's deaf, another deaf one. He can't hear, LOL, not a ball, it's a tear. Low, dirty middle. Low, dirty middle. No, 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 no. Low, dirty middle. No, 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 no. Low, dirty middle. No, 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 no. Low, dirty middle. No, 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 no. Low, dirty middle. To make no sense. Perseverance, who cares what words I don't make mean, huh? Low, I don't like your words, so I pick my favorite words. What's real, non-real, super contained, metaverse, first person. Low, meta is an angle, real fake. Low, dirty middle, no, 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 no. Low, dirty middle, no, 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 no. Low, dirty middle, no, 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 no. Low, dirty middle, no.
Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars? Should be wishing for a brain right now, brain right now, brain right now.
Good morning.
morning. These words come with a storm warning. Better batten down the hatches, grab some matches and brace yourself for a long day of misery. YouTube has given me the power to reach up into the sky and show you all that we live on the ball. I bring you science that's comprehensible. Your view is indefensible. You're reprehensible.
Go on, Mr. Sensible.
When I was young, I never thought I would be here to see this. A pile of random nonsense dressed up as bullshit. Your ignorance will be the death of us all, like running headfirst full speed into a wall. You could always read a book, buy a telescope, set it up and take a photo of the moon, or just be a buffoon. I send you in a balloon up to the stratosphere on page 3.
You're a few fries short of a happy meal. You're dumber than a box of hair. The wheel's spinning but the hamster's dead, and you're as smart as bait. You forgot to pay your brain bill. You're missing a few buttons on the remote control. 24 cents short of a quarter. You're surfing in Nebraska. You're as bright as Alaska in December, and you fell out of your family tree. You don't have all the cornflakes in one box. You got an IQ of 2 and it takes 3 to grunt. The elevator doesn't go all the way up, and there's a vacancy on the top floor. Your antenna doesn't pick up all the channels. You're several nuts short of a
You're Mr.
fruitcake.
Sensible, calm down, don't go too hard. You don't need the heart to burying Flerfs in your backyard. You're a man of science, poise and grace. Mage 2 did everything to wipe the grins off the face. So Nathan, get away from those kids. The world is not flat and it doesn't have a lip. Recognize the differences between the textbook and the Bible and control yourself. Lay off your slander and your lies. You're a bunch of knobs poisoning the world of the youth, spreading lies that you like to claim as knowledge and truth. Stop spreading fresh bullshit like the butter on your bread. Maybe a musical assault and knock some sense into your head. I hope one day you'll hear these lyrics and smile, and you realise you used to be a 40-year-old child. Now it's time to wake up, open your eyes and see, and acknowledge the existence of.
You're a few clowns short of a circus. Your phone is off the hook. Your sewing machine is out of thread. You're all foam and no beer. You don't have all your dogs on one leash. An intellect rivaled only by garden tools. There's no grain in your silo, and your skylight leaks a little. Your belt doesn't go through all the loops. You couldn't pour water out of a boot without instructions on the heel. Your slinky's kinked, and you're proof that evolution can work in reverse. A few feathers short of a whole duck, one fruit short of a full bowl.
Airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars. Should be wishing for a brain right now, brain right now, brain right now. Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars? Should be wishing for a brain right now, brain right now, brain right now.
You thought it was over? Well, I'm still standing while you're swinging, flinging feces, talking shit just like the human centipede. You've got the mind of a chimp, and I'm here to expedite your shore leave. Cause I'm a seaman, but not the kind I writ up on your mom's gums. I'm the kind that sailed submarines and fired guns. I can float a boat across the ocean with my eyes closed, circumnavigate the globe with a compass and a bag of sausage rolls. Well, all you can do is nibble on your toes. I'll smack you with the hose that you call a water level, sit and swivel. You nasal gazing muppet, you can stuff it harder than the wallet stuffed by Warren Buffett. And I don't care about your sauces unless you're serving them, and I don't care about your lines unless you're curving them. Now step away from me, you're sucking up my oxygen with a vacuum where your brain should be, you dumb fuck. Thank you for watching, guys. I appreciate your support more than you could ever know. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for super chatting. Thank you for being a member. And a massive thanks to Catalina Varen for the 200, for the 50 members that were added. That's absolutely incredible. Stay around if you want. You can just if you stay in this chat, you'll be directed to my next chat, which is a stream I'm doing in just over an hour, which is with another moon landing denier. You know, just bring facepalm protection. I'm sorry in advance, but remember that, you know, it's not my fault that everyone's so stupid. I just display them for you. Stupidity's not a right. Fight the flyer. Fight the fly. 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 Fight the fly.
name's Nathan Oakley, and I have been lying to people about the Earth being flat for a lot of years. I did this to hide the fact I have a small penis.
I'm a dumb flat earther, and I don't understand science.
Level